much weight up on my shoulders, all this jewelry on me. I wear my shades inside cause I go blind just looking down. Walking like the man, sipping Chardonnay on the balcony, looking like a young Elvis Presley. I've been overseas, I've been underneath, I ain't never seen nothing like a person 12 o'clock. I don't know nobody looking like that, I don't know nobody looking like that. I don't know nobody looking like that, I don't know nobody looking like that. Baby, baby, won't you listen to me? I got that flavor, I know you're dying to feed. I ain't no dancer, just got some hip in my feet. Now throw your hands up. Ooh, you bring the lighter, I got the fuse. You make a fire, I'll add the fuel. Follow my lead, just watch your shoes. Gotta turn the heat up to get this cool. Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this?
It is us.
We're the ones that are looking like this. We're the
I do
ones
really
who
like
are
that
looking
song,
this
like,
for
actually.
real. We're the ones who are looking like this for real.
I have this weird
I love the rhyme where he's
bias-
like sitting on the balcony drinking Chardonnay.
I have this weird bias that like I shouldn't like it because it's
It's just a free song, but I like it.
kind of, but I do like it. Speaking of sitting on a balcony sipping Chardonnay,
Shipping out stuff 3 years
shipping
later.
shipping out stuff for real, shipping out a bunch. Yeah. We listened to some Feelin' Giovanni today, and
Yes.
What is that? Is that a
Mackenzie
band?
This is
or
a
that
classic
person?
Mackenzie
song
was
by the
just-
Countess Loanne.
she played me one of her other songs today too.
Sheba Lobani?
Yep, it's Sheep and Old Bonnie.
Sheep and Old Bonnie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was listening to some sheep and Old Bonnie.
That sounds like something that Countess Luann would say. The way that you said that also. Like,
I don't know. It's just, how do I explain
were you just
it?
listening to that song for fun, or did something come up?
She was taught. I asked what a Giovanni was, and then she
Oh.
played the song. But then she started playing that other song about money can't buy
Money Can't Buy You Class.
your class,
Elegance
right?
is earned, my friends. It's so bad.
How do you know these songs?
These are all of the Real Housewives
Oh.
hit singles that they made.
Say no
I only
more.
know that part of it.
All
And then
you
the
had to do
Giovanni
was
was
say-
like, feeling
All
Giovanni.
you had to do was say bravo, and then I would have been
Yeah.
like, okay, all right.
There's
It
there's an
sounds
episode of
very-
actually where they talk about Bravo, and it's like Izzy and two other girls. I can't think of who their names right off the top of my head. One of them does Star Wars commentary, but anyway, they're talking about this, and they go on this rant for 5 minutes about all the songs, and it's one of my favorite things in the world because it's like, I know all of these,
They know
no
it
one
super
else
well,
has ever
don't they?
understood.
Yeah, they know it super well. No,
They
it's-
even brought out
it's,
Teresa's daughter's song, which is one that I always forget about.
Do you know that one, Mackenzie? Do you know that one?
I'm sure she will know.
Yeah. Anyway, it's very. I was gonna explain it to you, Andrew. It's very mid to early 2000s gay club, upper class gay club vibe music.
Okay.
That's the best way I know to describe it.
Wait, upper what?
Upper class?
Upper class. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were trying to describe a geographical location, like upper New York.
Have you
Oh, I see.
Have you seen that TikTok where Nicola Coughlan describes the Real Housewives song? She's like, shoes and caviar and shoes. And I'm like, yes, it's exactly that. They're all like that.
But it does sound very dated. People love the music, but I'm just saying it gives you that 2 decades ago vibe. But it's not necessarily a bad thing.
But it
maybe
was made
it
about
sounds
that long
classic
ago.
In that way. Oh, okay. Well, then in that case, it fits perfectly. Her hair on one of the albums looks at least that old. That's for sure. Her hairstyle. That's what I meant to say. Her hair is way older than that. Okay.
She's a 10-year-old making songs and you're throwing shade? What a jerk.
It was very funny.
I would say lots of parts
Melania's
of her are
song
probably 10 years
is
old.
very funny.
That's funny.
you.
And you know it's funny because I acknowledged it with words instead of laughing.
Instead of actual.
That one's funny.
It's fine. That's how Cooper responds to it as well. So.
No, Lauren, I think it's fine now. I think it's fine. Just at the beginning, it seemed like you maybe weren't aware that was happening.
Those commercials.
I mean, there was, yeah.
I'm trying to go green. There's not a Hue like celebration of St. Patrick's Day where I can just click on a thing.
Oh, yeah. Why don't they offer that? I'll be honest. The app experience is not great.
Mackenzie knows exactly what I'm talking about.
This feels a little St. Patrick's Day, right?
Feeling about so many things.
Does it feel
it's like the lyrics to
green.
like Teresa's daughter's song that she.
You guys
sang.
aren't listening to me. It's irrelevant. Okay.
Is this green enough for you? Is this green enough?
Yes. How are you doing that?
I don't understand the question.
I don't know how
He
to
doesn't have green on his settings.
You know how to get like the whole color wheel, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to mess up my. Oh, I guess the scene would still stay the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
Hang on.
Come on, you're better than this. You're better than this.
Everyone just shut.
Would you believe you can't make Hunter green out of lights?
Everyone just shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it
everybody.
looks nice and green.
Thank you. I'm very excited to show you. I actually have some things sitting on my desk to go through, and
Look
they've
at
been
that.
sitting here
Me too.
for a week and a half, so I could go through them.
I did the same thing because I went to Emerald City Comic Con, so I have all the stuff that I bought there.
Emerald City.
Mm-hmm.
One short day.
Oh my gosh!
Yes,
your
I went
face,
to Oz just for the day.
Because I guess you're on auto correction. Do you see how red your face is?
Yes.
My face? No, that's not. That's what it looks like. That's.
Are you hot? Are you okay?
I am hot. Remember, I just ran up and down the stairs about 12 times.
Mine's gonna do the same thing
furniture.
because of like the auto color correction on the camera.
Let's just change it. Okay, we did green. Let's go
Just
back
leave
to our
it.
good. Let's go back to good colors.
Oh my gosh!
Pink goes good with green.
You look crazy. Okay.
Yeah,
Back
like
in my-
instantly. Oh
Back
my
in my
God,
safe
that was
place.
crazy.
Oh,
how
it
bad
didn't fix it. It didn't fix it.
It will. It'll come back. It'll come back.
No,
It'll come back.
you're a completely new person.
Fix it, mother. No, I'm saying
right.
it didn't fix the color setting that I had before. I had it dialed in so nicely.
What am I changing?
Is that gooder?
I don't even know what bulb this is. That's not even one that I have. Okay.
Well, that didn't last long. We acknowledged St. Patrick's Day with green for 30 seconds, and
Yeah,
it's
but
over.
it's
I have green.
It
I
made
have
me
green.
look weird, so I'm done.
I have green on my
Yeah.
pants. Remember, I almost
I
fell
did,
through
yes.
my computer trying to
Still
show you
fell
earlier.
Hey!
I will promise all of you that I witnessed Andrew's green pants.
It's true.
And I'm drinking Perrier, the greenest of drinks.
And I changed clothes so that I
Let's
would
start
wear something
podcasting
green.
because I have
Yeah.
I have literally
Let's
a
go.
list of things to talk about.
Jedi, thank you for subscribing. You also got a
Did you guys hear
commercial
that?
for San Diego, which is like 2 to 3 hour drive south. Yeah, that's not helpful. Jedi, are you on your bicycle right now? And do you call it a bicycle or do you call it something manlier, like your hog?
A bicicleta.
You can't call that. If it's just
can't
a
talk
bicycle
about
and you called it
Jedis.
a hog,
Kate.
like you would get beat up. Like
Last time I talked about Jedi's hog, I got in trouble. So I'm
Not
just
in
going back.
not in Los Angeles. It's okay there. Hey, Kate. Hello.
hello.
Who knows?
All right,
that
I'm
feeling
ready.
like this for
I'm ready, I'm
real.
ready.
Been doing things feeling like fear for real. Okay. 3 and 2 and 1.
That's fine. I almost unplugged my headphones when I did that, but it's okay.
A small fire starts. Okay. I assume I assume your headphones run so hot that if you were to have unplugged them, they would have caught fire. That's the scenario I just told.
Sure. Great.
That's one version of events.
I think I've spent all my energy. I think
You
I
were
burned-
so excited
I
10
burned
minutes
fast.
ago,
I
and it's
burned
over.
fast and
One round of
hot.
Chardonnay, and it's done.
Oh boy, hang on. Not sponsored. Okay. Welcome to episode 579 of the Pop Culture Roundtable, the podcast that can't stop springing forward. In this episode, we talk about the Doomsday murders, Fourth Wing, Opus, and Electric State. I'm Andrew Sale.
I'm Lauren Rubin.
I'm Patrick Hill.
So grab our hand and dig in your heels so we don't go over the ledge. So we don't go over the ledge. The ledge.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say something.
Genuinely wasn't sure if my
don't know
computer
how to
glitched.
I don't know how to respond to you.
What do you mean? We sprung so far forward, we were going to go over the ledge.
Oh.
You got to follow the train of...
Oh,
It's
I
a
think you
formula
needed to-
we've been employing for 10 years.
I definitely
if I'm
didn't figure
honest.
the like spring forward fall.
I
off
didn't
the
either.
ledge.
And you
yeah, I
had
didn't make the
you spent an
connection.
hour writing that.
I did.
You could have put in one or two more revisions.
I rewrote that 3 times. That's a true
What was the
story.
original
And
one?
neither of us got it. To be clear.
know, it's
What was
okay.
the first choice?
I read a book this week that tells me that doesn't matter. Art is art regardless of whether people get it. That's what Rick
that's
Rubin
true.
tells me. I'll talk about it in the Year on the Table.
Yeah.
All right. So here we go. In that case, over the ledge. I don't get it.
Ass. Okay. We like to kick off every episode by going around the table, which is where we talk about things that are new, fun, and noteworthy about our weeks. Happy Patrick.
What did you think?
Now you're
going
going to be red for a totally different reason.
Did you hear me squeak? Did the squeak come through? Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
It sounded like you had a little balloon and you just let a little out.
Yes, it's exactly what it sounded like. Did I mention I have social energy to give? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm real giddy right now. What?
I said, yep.
What did I say? Oh,
What did you say?
What did you not
Happy
say? Yeah, that's
Patrick.
okay, hang on.
Andrew is off the cliff now.
I am. It was ledge. Shh. Okay. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Oh, no, I got to start over, yeah? We like to kick off every episode by going around the table, which is where we talk about things that are new, fun, and noteworthy about our weeks. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
That's true. That is today.
It is the day of the Patricks.
Yeah.
True.
Congratulations to the two here. You and Jedi.
Oh, the one in chat. Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Does
Two
she
are
not really-
present with us at this very
She
moment.
thinks
Yes.
both of our names are Patrick. How long have we been doing this for? Oh no, she's stupid. By the way, on the golf side of things,
If
big
someone
shout
told
to
you
Roy,
that way, it definitely might be okay.
Roy McIlroy, Irish golfer, just won the Players today on St. Patrick's Day. That is his third time winning a PGA tournament on St. Patrick's Day.
Would you say
pretty
that's
crazy.
skill or that it's the luck of the Irish?
It is skill. He's, I think,
okay.
the number one ranked golfer in the world right now. So I would say it's
Does
probably
he win
skill.
tournaments on any days other than St. Patrick's Day? Because otherwise,
Yeah,
He also does-
the day
Okay.
the day celebrating the potato famine. Come on.
Wow, you got to turn that off. But the thing is that
no thumbs up for the potato famine.
Exactly. Yeah, the potato. This is the famine of my people.
I know
and
you're
I'm
going for
giving
one,
thumbs up.
and then like, but
Stupid.
that was great.
I know that this isn't a golf podcast, but I think this is interesting. The Players should have finished yesterday, but because there was a rain delay, it went all the way to when they would blow the whistle. And then it ended in a tie. Well, the way the Players works is they do a 3-hole aggregate playoff, which means that they replay 16, 17, and 18, the anybody that's tied, and then the score after 3 holes determines the winner. If it's still tied, then I'm assuming they change pin positions and do it again.
Yeah.
Anyway, it ended in a tie last night, but because of the rain delay, it was so late, they had to start at 9 a.m. this morning and then play for another 30 minutes to do the 3-hole playoff.
Why didn't they just play with the glow-in-the-dark balls?
They don't like those. They don't like those.
Oh, it was not
terrible
you should have gone to your
conditions.
golf simulator thing. That I
They're
forget
not
what it's called
PGA
already.
sanctioned.
Yeah.
Could have done it exactly. Could have done it from there. They didn't. But anyway, and then Roy pulled it out. I think he won by like 3 strokes. It wasn't close, unfortunately. I wanted to be close, but the guy like flew it straight into the water on hole 17. It was bad, but great tournament to watch. And I was glad I got to catch the end of it. That's all. That's golf update. I'll give you another one in a couple months.
Let me give you a Cooper golf update. Since last we talked,
Okay.
He played another tournament at the same course that he played a few weeks ago, where he shot, I think he shot 117 or 119. And
That's awesome.
the other day,
On how many holes?
18. He played a full
Cool.
18.
Great.
I think he placed 27th out of 26th out of 47 people, I think, back. So he's like right in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
This past week, he played that same course again in a tournament, and he shot 89.
Holy crap!
And
That's amazing.
He placed 9th out of like 88 people.
Hell
That's
yeah, go
huge.
Cooper.
He did two Eagles and he did 3 chip-ins. So
That's
That's
awesome.
massive. Well,
yeah,
good
it was,
for
it was
him.
awesome.
And again, was that also an 18 or was that 89 on 9?
No, it was a full 18. Yeah, he did it. He did it.
You do need to add just a little bit of extra detail, but that's fine. Okay.
I'm
No,
leaving
that
out
was
just
great.
enough to make it sound more impressive.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a putt-putt course, and
Right. Yeah, I've shot 80 before on 3, so
yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm not a good golfer.
Have you been out yet?
I didn't
Patrick?
mean to click on that, to be clear.
I already did it.
I didn't mean to.
Have you been out since you've been to Chattanooga? Have you played?
Any variety
I
of golf?
Yeah, I played simulator a little bit. So I shot a bit at a simulator, but that's it. I haven't gone out since then.
I thought
so.
maybe
Did
you
you
were
like the
bearing the lead
simulator?
when you said that you shot 80 the other day on less holes, and I thought, has he
Oh
started
no.
actually playing now?
I would like to. So I was playing it. I played an indoor simulator last time I was in Ohio, and then that was actually a great experience. And so then I came back here and was thinking like, oh, I'll just find an indoor simulator here. There's not one. They're all like the ones here are very communal. So there's a couple, but they have like, it'll be like a shared bar area. And then all the simulators face away from the bar area, but like your back is open to that, which means people can just sit and drink and watch you be terrible. That doesn't work.
That's
for me.
literally
Like,
Patrick's worst nightmare.
it's absolutely like as scary as it could be for me. I'm sweaty right now thinking about the prospect of that happening. So I would rather just go play golf on a course,
Yeah.
course,
course.
instead of course, and no one can play on a course, of course. Instead of like that. That just sounds that sounds awful.
Are you open to playing when I'm there in a couple weeks? You want to go play when I'm there in a couple weeks?
Yeah, the only thing, so we should do that. We need to do Corbetta's, which is the professional disc golf course
place,
that's here. So we could do golf. We could do disc golf, ball golf, and disc golf. And then we have to do escape room. And if you remember, I don't know if we'll make the time to do it, but there is the escape room that we like, that franchise. There's a room we've never done in Nashville if we
it's
drive over
only
there.
in Nashville, yeah. Yes.
Or
How far
maybe
is
get
that
like
from
a
where you live?
flight over there.
How long does it take to drive to Nashville from where you were at?
2 hours.
And the flight would take maybe 35 minutes, 40 minutes.
Oh, it'd be
Except
less
that
than
you have
that,
to like
but
go
yeah.
through all the airport shit, so it ends up taking
No,
longer
no.
than
Maybe
2
that.
hours.
No, maybe 35. Yeah, because someone's
no.
made it before.
Not the way we do it.
Yeah, completely.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's not fair.
We'll just walk downstairs and
Yeah.
head through the garage.
Exactly.
Well, that's yeah. I don't think we've even officially started the podcast yet. I think that was all everyone's golf update.
Okay. I'm gonna jump in. I want to continue because I want to
I
show
was like,
you
didn't
something.
we? Yeah.
No, we have started.
Yeah.
No,
I was like,
I mean,
remember
like,
clapping.
I know,
Like-
but we didn't do like the Patrick. What's going on? Like you just
I
started,
know.
you just
You
started
just
talking
took over.
about
It's
golf.
fine.
Yeah,
It's
you just
fine.
started talking about golf.
Patrick was ready to
I'm giving
pounce.
you the non-podcast real world experience, which is that if you just meet me out of nowhere, I will
just
start
starts
talking
talking
about
golf.
Golf. Yeah, that's it. I want to show you this. This is something I did talk about on the show a while ago, but I didn't expect to get one. And now I'm bringing it back up. And before I show you what it is, I should say that it's a bad time to not be spending money, because I do think over the last, and I don't mean just last like week or two, like the last several months, like 6 months or so, Kid Robot has been putting out some of my favorite items that they've been putting out since I followed them. I genuinely think like they're releasing awesome stuff.
Before you show us, can I guess? Based on the couple of things that you've shown me in the last couple months.
Sure.
Is it one of the ceramic dunnies?
It absolutely is the ashtray dunny.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's so good. Oh,
I thought,
it looks
didn't
like
you,
that's
I
that's
thought
like
you
Huck
bought this
G
before, or
orange.
did you just show it?
Yeah, look at this.
That's
So I
awesome.
did drop a picture of it.
That's not.
I miss that guy. I mean, I sold mine and I know I did, but man, do I ever miss that. Anyway.
I love the gradient on that.
But yeah, it's the gradient.
Looks so good.
It is porcelain. This is nice and smoothed out. This is kind of a hard edge, but it feels very good. I wish it was just the tiniest bit bigger. I guess it's a decent size for cigarettes, which is it's got the little notches there for you. It's fully ashtray. And I was thinking about it. They don't
inflamed mouth.
So I was thinking about the fact, because of how they did the eyes and the nose, it would seep out of there really nicely. They don't show that in the product images, but I have to imagine that it would be a really good effect because of the face shape.
You could put incense in there.
Incense
Like the
burner?
cone
Put an
kind?
incense cone?
Yeah.
I could burn insects in here. It is large enough I can like slide
Peel
my
off their
wallet in.
legs and then light it on fire.
And, like dispose of the body in this little furnace.
It's weird because on their website they still refer to it as a pre-order. But I'm holding one, so I guess they exist. The box is fine.
Maybe it's for like round 2 or something.
Maybe. I will say, I do think Kid Robot's boxes, I mean, maybe it might be the same supplier, but I don't know that they put particularly it feels slightly thinner.
Yeah,
that's what I was trying to decide. I'd have to go get another box, but it feels like 20% thinner in terms of like the cardboard, which I don't love. And then, I mean, this is all fine, but it's not
It's got
the
that
best.
spot UV, which is nice, which gives you the ceramic look. It works well for that particular product. Yeah, it looks good.
I am surprised. I guess I shouldn't be, but they really went in on the word ashtray in terms of like the branding for this, or like the naming for it.
They really did.
I mean, it is what it is.
Someone handed this to me at church. That's where they gave it to me, and I was just walking around with something with. Not that it matters. You should smoke. You could smoke and go to church, of course.
You should smoke at church.
You should smoke at church.
Should,
I don't care what
yes.
you do. It was just hilarious. It really stood out to me how big the word ashtray is on this box.
It's funny.
And otherwise, you have no idea what it is. But anyway, super, super great piece. So, but they have tons of good pieces, and I don't want to say that they're not doing well. But they have really good pieces that are sitting on their site for a long time, and I don't know why they're sitting so long.
Okay, do we think that it's the same issue that we've talked about on the Lego front historically, and then also we've privately talked about Mondo and some of these other galleries, which is there was a huge wave of this for about a decade, and about 2 years ago that wave kind of crested and has since passed, and people are still making the same amount of product that they would have made back then, and so they're just sitting on product now.
It's just so hard to know. I mean, because it's hard not to associate what I do in my own life with what's going on more broadly. Like, it's hard for me to not believe that that's the trend across the board, and it might just be the trend for me personally, right? So I don't want to pretend to know because I don't know. So I can only go by this feeling. But it feels like it used to feel like Kid Robot. They had premium products, and they had like the little keychain throwaway stuff. And they would always have a lot of the throwaway stuff, but then they would have a small amount of premium products, and those things would go really quickly. If there were pre-orders, then some pre-orders might last a few minutes, some might last a few hours, every now and then a couple days, but it did feel like the stuff sold out. But now it feels like that balance of like small to premium is mixed. It just feels like across the board they're just releasing stuff in every tier, which on one hand, that's a lot of stuff. But then on the other hand, it means stuff seems to be sitting longer. And I don't know if they release new products in order to get pre-order money to then have capital to fund more stuff. It might be like a really bad pyramid, you know, where like we have to release more stuff to get more injections of cash. But then the problem is we're still sitting on all this stuff. So let's release more stuff to pay for the stuff we're sitting on. I don't know. Like it could be something really bad like that.
I think
it is interesting how much stuff sits.
I think there's two things that stand out to me about Kid Robot specifically. One is the death of Frank Kozik, right? Like, he brought a lot of people to that brand, and he kind of revitalized that brand a little bit. And his death a couple years ago, I think that is going to impact it somewhat. But then also, they've expanded their IPs so much. They have so much product that's IP driven now. That's not their original stuff. That I think that might be that turns me away. I'm seeing Kid Robot stuff on Walmart shelves, on Target shelves, and like for whatever reason, that feels like it's not a welcome place for a couture designer toy brand, which is what it used to be. Now it feels like it's a mainstream toy brand, much like I know your favorite friends at Loyal Subjects. Loyal Subjects is doing a bunch of mainstream IP now too, and it just feels like some of these brands that when we first started doing this podcast that were like designer toy brands, that's not it anymore. They're working with large corporations now, and they're mass producing things, and I think the quality and the perception of the brand have both dropped.
Yeah, and I can on one hand appreciate why this would happen. And simultaneously understand that it kind of kills some spirit of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I do think Kid Robot is still releasing some really beautiful pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But I also agree with what you're saying, that there's kind of this kind of undercurrent that feels less special, less unique, less exclusive, less whatever it is. That's maybe eroding that. I would love, you know how like back in the day, like you would have like Series 1 Dunnies and then Series 2 Dunnies, and you know, every now and then I think we'll get a singular artist set or something like that. But I don't know, like what is there going to be like a Series 10 or something that again is like 40 different artists contributing to it or something? Like that's the type of thing that I kind of want to see from them. But anyway, I will say I do get priced out of some of their pieces. They have also been doing some really large pieces, and I can't afford those either. Hey, Andrew, did you see Corsa's new piece this week?
I haven't seen anything from Corsa in a couple of years because I fell out of they fell out of the algorithm for me.
Okay, so let me do this. I'm going to pull up a piece. I just remembered it, and I do want to show it to you. But let me put a pin in this while I pull it up, and I want Lauren to real quick start telling me about Mickey 17 before I interject all my feelings about it.
Just stealing time. But yeah, Patrick and I both had a chance to see Mickey 17 this week. I loved this movie. I've listened to quite a lot of reviews that like critics didn't like it as much. But I don't know. I just like didn't really have as many problems with it. Like I understand what the criticisms are, and like I do think like some of them could have helped improve the movie, but the movie we got is still like a really fun movie. And I didn't like have on my mind when I went in that this was a Bong Joon-ho movie, because also like all the reviews are comparing it to like Parasite and stuff. I'm like, this movie's not trying to be Parasite like at all. It's a very different vibe. 17,
but I could tell from the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer
it's not
alone,
the same kind of
I
movie,
think like you can just tell like it's a different vibe, it's a different style almost. Like to me like that's just not a comparison that works. Like I get why, but like I don't think they have like the same type of intention. But I thought it was like just really fun. Like the acting is great. Like the double like characters that Robert Pattinson is doing is amazing. Like Mark Ruffalo is so funny in this movie. Like his like the makeover that they gave him for this movie is so funny to look at. Like the whole movie is extremely like big and cartoony and like over the top, and like I think that's also something that like just didn't work for certain people, but to me like I just found it fun. Like I don't know if you guys have seen Kung Fu Hustle.
So the premise is ridiculous. So why not just have it be over the top? Like it.
Yeah. Exactly. It like to me, it reminded me of Kung Fu Hustle, where like that style of that movie is very like Looney Tunes in real life, but it works for the story, and like that's how this felt. Like there's many moments in this that feel like you're kind of watching a cartoon. Like they're acting so crazy and like it is over the top, but it feels intentional to me, so it doesn't feel like it's stupid, you know.
But before you move on from Mark Ruffalo, I have nothing to say about this movie because I haven't seen it. But I will say Mark Ruffalo, his look in the trailer reminded me a lot of the Hunger Games. Like
how funny. I mean, yes,
like
that's
It felt very like if I can't remember the guy's name who was the host.
Flickerman is his last name.
Yeah.
Like Cecil or
Cecil
Caesar?
Flick Blockers.
Caesar?
Caesar?
What?
Caesar.
Cecil or Caesar? I don't
I
remember.
think it's Caesar.
Okay,
Anyway,
yeah.
Stanley Tucci's character.
Yes, we're talking about the guy.
Yes.
We just can't remember his name.
He reminded me a
it's
lot
very
of
that.
him.
Yeah,
Has kind of like a like masculine with a feminine flair.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of like if they took that guy, Donald Trump, and like Joel Osteen and put them in a blender, or like maybe like a Righteous Gemstone, where it's like that cartoon version. Of
I
a,
would
like,
watch that
preacher.
reality show.
Like
just so we're clear.
I thought he's a very funny character, and a lot of the reviews I had were like, they didn't need this, blah blah blah. I'm like, look, I get what you're saying, but it's so funny and it was very entertaining. So like, I don't want them to have like taken it out of the movie for that. So I don't know. Like like I said, get the criticism, but I thought it was like a really just like a good time, like really funny movie. Super glad that like I got in on it like early.
I really want to see it.
I had seen the trailer only.
Yeah, same.
It's in the trailer just shows you that there's this idea of this guy that he can be used and he can die and he can be 3D printed again. And so you just know that you're going to see this guy live multiple lives and just be
The premise
spit
is
out
funny.
of a printer.
Yeah,
I did not understand how political this film is.
me neither.
And Mark Ruffalo's character is, Mickey 17, exactly. It is very on the nose, very political, but at the same time, so it's like, it's easy to hear that and then assume it's going to be very
serious,
serious somehow. But you can take all the themes in the film and all the stuff that's going on, and you can take a step back, and it's just a kind of goofy movie. It's actually really easy to sit and just kind of enjoy the spectacle a bit.
Yeah.
And not overthink it. Now, you can think it, like put a lot into it if you want to. You can have a lot of
And
conversation.
there is like a second layer of this onion. I think that it's there.
Yes.
You know,
now,
but
I'll say this coded to you, Lauren, because you've seen
Mm-hmm.
it and Andrew hasn't. I actually think that I think too much was done in the film. We have one whole narrative. We basically have three different segments, which is Earth, ship, planet, and I think we could have done all the storytelling we needed to do on Earth and ship, or we could have done it all on ship and planet.
and ship. Yeah.
But I
agree.
don't think we needed all three. And so
I
that was
agree.
the part that was.
So it
This
could've
is the
been
thing
the
where like
whirlwind.
I see the critiques, I understand them, and I think a lot of them are valid, but like they're kind of small nitpicks. It's not like this movie sucks by any means. It's just like, yes, that's a good point. Yes, I would have liked more of this and a little less of that. Like, you're right, but this is a fun movie.
So let me tell you so I wanted to see this movie before we recorded. I went and I chose a different movie at the theater with the intent to watch. I was going to see both of them this weekend, and the intent was I would watch this one afterwards. So, but I ended up not. And the reason I didn't pick this movie right away was because it was about 20 minutes longer than the movie that I did choose, and just it synced up better with my schedule that day. Would the movie have been better off cutting one of those areas, either Earth or the planet, and it being 20 minutes less?
I do think
it
with
fell
the way that
into
the
like
movie
an
is, you
hour
could cut off
45,
20
hour
minutes.
50.
Yes, but at the same time, I would have rather kept the full runtime and
But
just
used it
spent
differently.
more
Yeah,
time
yeah.
in like a different
Okay.
scenario.
That's
I
exactly
hear what
how
you're
I feel. Like, I don't feel
So
like it
didn't
was a
feel
long
too
movie.
long. It was just a little bit more
not at all.
scattered than it needed to be.
Right, there were just a few too many themes, and there was a couple layers of the same theme.
Gotcha.
That's the part that kind of like, yeah. But I'm a big fan of Star Citizen. I say a big fan. The game is trash, but I love it. But it hurts me. But Star
It's
Citizen,
like Mackenzie.
Yeah.
this is so much like Mackenzie. This movie, though, it might as well just be live action Star Citizen. Like it feels
Yeah.
like that same type of universe, the same type of like aesthetic and grittiness, and so that part of me, I just love the world of Mickey 17.
It's just
I
a
really
funny.
do.
It's also just a really funny idea. Like the premise is just so simple. Of what if you could print people, like, and
not
it just
just
kind of
that, but
goes from there. Like,
How it's carried out, like when it's printing a person, it'll like suck the person back in. And
yeah,
then
like the
push it
paper.
back out.
That was a brilliant gag, and like forgetting the print tray is
Yes.
funny. Like,
But like
it's just,
Bong Joon, yeah, and those pieces are great. I was gonna say Bong Joon-ho does subvert your expectations for the theme. So like, you can print someone, and because of that, once you get the setup for the film and the setup of the characters, you will immediately make assumptions of, oh, well, this is going to happen. And then that thing doesn't happen. Like, Bong Joon-ho is very good at saying, hey, I'm going to take this a little bit different direction. So, love it. Sorry, did you have one more thing to add on that, Lauren, before I jump back to...
Golf?
No, I think I think
Okay.
just great movie. Please go see it.
What
I
would
think
you-
it's
what
not
would you
going to be
rate
in
it? I'm
theaters
gonna
much
see it this
longer.
week, but what would you rate it? What's the number out of 10?
The movie is...
Wow.
critically, it's probably closer to a 7, but for my enjoyment, high 8, maybe
Yeah, that's exactly
9.
where I
mean,
was thinking, because I was like, I think like critically, I do understand the problems. So like a 7, and then like I'm closer to a 9. So let's say 8.
Yeah,
Wow.
because it
Okay.
is enjoyable, and like I said, you can just kind of turn it off and just have fun.
That's
and
why
watch.
I think
And
it
we
was
don't
like easy
get
to
a
be
lot of
like,
those films.
Yeah.
that even though there is something more that you could get out of this movie, what we got was great.
Okay,
Yeah.
so last thing that I didn't intend to show, but it just, when we're talking about toys in scale, it reminded me of this. Course has a gallery going on. It's Course and Mattel 80th. And it's a gallery show, and it's called, they have a series called the Miracle on Eternia series. And they actually do this mashup of Barbie and He-Man. And it has to do with like taking toys and inventing narratives and all this type of stuff. And so they have a sculpture. This is hand painted resin. It has walnut. It has gold leaf. It is 25 inches tall. And I just want to real quick show you this sculpture. And they have other pieces as well. So, but this is one of the pieces. So
Let's see it.
here we go. This is it right here.
Oh my.
I
With the bunny
Love.
rabbits.
I absolutely love this piece. I think this piece is incredible. So you can go on their site. They show more of the details of it.
Wow. And they're giving birth to
awesome.
what's his name?
A telephone, or that telephone toy. I don't know
Yeah,
what
it's
that's
the
called.
toy that you pull. It's a pull toy in it.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I absolutely love this piece. There's no way that any of us can afford it, because I remember what their sculptures used to cost back in the day.
Yeah.
Do
Do you remember when I pretended to be an art broker?
Well, yeah, and what did they say they wanted $1,400 for that one, or was it like $14,000?
Yeah, 14,000. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we couldn't get that one.
Yeah.
But
We're talking about the
man,
goose.
I love this.
Like we're talking about the Jesus goose, right? Yeah.
Exactly. It's like
wooden-
out and it's wrapped around the neck on both sides or whatever. It's like the
beautiful.
wooden one and the porcelain looking one. Oh my gosh, it was so good. Anyway, love this piece from Course. I love the fact that Course is still putting out things. I don't know who affords this. I don't know where this sits. I would love to own more Course pieces. I only have the one which is sitting directly behind my head, which is that guy right there, the little owl. Would love to own a couple more pieces at some point in my life.
How much was
even
that
that-
one? I wasn't.
I was gonna say, and even that one I think was probably like $70, right? Like it's not inexpensive.
I think it was maybe. Well, I don't remember. They don't have a price. They don't have a price list, so you have to inquire for it. I wouldn't be surprised if it's again multiple $20,000.
$20,000 maybe. 'Cause
It will be expensive.
It's a
but-
gallery piece, right? So it's the difference between
Yes.
buying something on a shelf and buying a gallery piece.
How many
Yeah,
did they
absolutely.
say? How many they made? Just curious.
This is just one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Then makes a lot of
They'll
sense.
have other pieces in the gallery, but
I
this is
get
the
it
only
now.
one they have on this. Yeah.
I'd love to see their version of Skeletor.
Sure, Skeletor.
That's all.
They call the phone the Miracle Child. They have paintings of like each one of these
Child.
items. So I just dropped you the link for it. It'll be in the show notes. But you could scroll down and you can see all of the acrylic on canvas, like the paintings of He-Man and Barbie and the Child and everyone else that they did to go along with this series.
Bring
But,
me to the child.
I would
super
like to
great
see
stuff.
the
I
I would
baby.
like to see the baby.
listen, if nothing else, just go sign up to Course's mailing list, so you can just get
Eye candy.
you can just get eye candy every now and then, just some stuff to stare at in your inbox. But all their gallery stuff is just
It's
they do
helpful
such
to
great
know going in that you can't afford anything because it breaks the desire, right? Like it breaks the like temptation because there's zero temptation that you will actually follow through with this. You're not like, should I? Like you're not even questioning that. You can just go, I can't afford what I'm getting ready to open and look at. So here we go. And then you just go and enjoy it.
Here's
Oh my
He-Man
gosh, that's
Fully Loaded.
awesome. That is awesome.
These pieces are, it's just so good.
The colors are great.
It's so great.
This is a moment where if you're just listening to this on like the
Yeah,
audio
it's not going to do
record,
justice.
you are
These
missing
pictures will
out
be in the show notes, but
on this,
it's always
'cause
difficult
this
if you're
is
driving.
insane. It's He-Man on a gradiented rainbow colored stag. What is it? A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16-point deer. And he's firing a bow and arrow, but instead of a bow, he has a quiver full of plungers with what appears to be some sort of oatmeal or
Or like honey. I think there's like a
cream?
honey jar on the ground or
It's
something.
it's a pitcher though. Yeah, and then
Oh.
a big old cherry.
It looks like Winnie the
cherry.
Pooh's
So
thing to
good.
me. And it's already cartoony, so I think that's where my brain's
It's wild.
Yeah.
Anyway, a lot more of this stuff. Just go get on their mailing list. Get this stuff. Okay,
Very
that's
cool.
it. That's all my stuff I'll go through. Don't get me wrong. For as much levity as existed in this discussion now, I have a super dark master category to talk about.
Great.
So
It's
just
really
look
good to
forward
do a
that,
hard
everybody.
turn.
Yeah.
But we prepare people ahead of time, so it's great.
But anyway, Lauren, I'm sure you have other things, so I'll just throw it to you.
Yeah, for sure. Aside from seeing Mickey 17, I went to Seattle and we did Emerald City Comic Con last weekend. So I bought a lot of stuff that I have to show you guys. Excuse me. One of the
Bless
first
you.
things that I was most excited to do is, excuse me.
Bless you.
Bless you.
She's been waiting all night for this.
I know, and then this
Hasn't
happened.
coughed a single time.
Sorry.
As soon as
Okay.
she gets the platform.
Sorry. So the artist who did all of the Dimension 20 characters, Kate May, for like Fantasy High and Never Stop Blowing Up, who's taken over more recently. She was there, so I was very excited to go meet up with her. I bought a bunch of stuff. I got these really cool Bad Kids stickers on the hang
that's
van.
awesome.
I love this.
Well, how many
Unfortunately,
did you get?
huh? I
How
got
many did you
two,
get?
so I can keep
One for you and one for a friend, huh?
yeah.
Who
One
wasn't
to
there,
keep,
but
one
would've
to
enjoyed
use.
it.
I got another cool sticker. I got this whole sticker sheet of fun, like cryptids.
This is all from her? No, that's not her.
Yeah, this is all from her. Yeah.
Oh,
and then I got this cool
That's very
notebook.
different
Yeah.
stylistically.
Just some different stuff. She did have like keychains for the Bad Kids, but they were already sold out, unfortunately. So that was cool. And then they had a Dimension 20 meetup that day, so I was in my add-on costume and stuff. So we were talking about the show and everything. I gave her one of my fun shrimp keychains, and she gave me the little Squeam. It's like painted, one of those little like
my gosh,
gem toys, and then she just painted little eyes on it, but it's a little tiny Squeam. It's
Patrick,
so cute.
you haven't listened to Fantasy High, right?
No.
I was like, this is a
listened to
reference
the
from
first season.
This is a reference from like the first episode of the new season,
Yeah.
the like little crystal
Of
guy.
Ju-
But I
of
thought they were
junior
so
year.
cute. Yeah,
And it was wild. So that one, not to go off on a tangent. We
Yeah, no,
don't
it's
have
okay.
time for tangents. But but Tom Sandoval. No.
don't get me started.
Do you remember
no.
when?
Oh no,
do you
we didn't
remember
talk
when
about the
I
Traitors
started?
finale.
Do you remember when I started listening to junior year?
Yeah.
And I called you and was like, Lauren, I don't understand. Who is Squeam?
thinking this.
Did they do a mid
side quest or something? Yeah.
Like what am I missing? And what they did, Patrick, is Brennan threw like a whole
There was like
story
4 or 5
line-
characters. Yeah, that
yeah, a whole
were totally made
storyline
up.
in that didn't ever actually happen. And on episode 1 of the current season, or the most recent season, all of the characters talked as if this adventure happened and everyone knew what they were talking about. So it was like we were like coming into like insider conversation, and I was so confused, and I had to call Lauren.
Because they're like,
and-
Squeam, no, you can't. We love you. We've been on so many adventures together.
I know. And I'm like, who is this character? The joke is
Got
no one
you.
knew.
That no one,
knew who
like,
he
they
was.
were just pretending that they knew too and making it up as they went along. So it was just great.
So it's funny to get a Squeam figure after all,
It's
because
so
it's
cute,
not
though.
really. He's kind of like add-on lore, so it's even funnier.
Yeah, exactly. I got a couple other cool things at the meetup. I got this fig and the sig figs guitar
awesome.
pick that somebody, one of the figs had. I got a tiny key from a different Adine. I got a Rizguk the ball business card. And
great.
just a cute little sticker that says "Take me back to the bookshop." Just fun stuff. Those meetups are all just really fun because everybody's there to like geek out and stuff. Tom was very nice and helped me take pictures. I'll post some on Slack. Like it was just really fun. There's mostly fantasy high as it tends to be at these things, but there's a lot of love for everything else. I was impressed to see at least one from Starstruck Odyssey, and they had a great costume, which I know you just watched, Andrew. So that's
I did.
even
I just
better.
finished it too.
They had a skip, which I never have seen, and he was
That's awesome.
they were really great. Yeah. I was like, I
Norman
did not know.
Skip Takamori.
Yeah.
I just watched the episode of Time Quangle. I think it's episode 3 or 2.
Yeah.
Where Galir gets on the phone over the radio of the thing, and everyone in the they needed a dairy expert. And Galir speaks up, and the entire
hilarious.
theater went nuts when Brennan did the Galir voice. Like people,
Everyone loves
love
Galir.
Fantasy High is such a beloved IP inside of the D20.
It also has like the most seasons. Like there's a lot of content for it. Like it's genuinely really great. I think
really
that
well done. Yeah.
most people that I know who've seen Dimension 20 but haven't seen more than that have only seen Fantasy High, so I get it. And it's a great show, so that's why I dress up like it too. I got more D&D stuff from other people as well. This one is called Weird Works, and I got this really cute sticker sheet of just goblins and stuff. My favorite one it's backwards, I know, but it says "Farting is wild magic." Just really funny little goblins that I like. And then they did these really cool D&D bandanas. And so this is one. Sorry, I'm trying to zoom in, but it's like all of the items for D&D, like just spread out on this thing. And I think it's really, really nicely done.
Is that a bandana of holding?
Yeah. Basically. But I thought this was really cool. They called it like your D&D like altar mat, which I thought was kind of like a cool way to like sell it for fantasy nerds. I also got just a couple more things. This is from an artist that goes by Spooky Co. And this is just a little keychain, and it's like the cat from Kiki's Delivery Service, but kind of like made into a hipster. So I love it.
Yeah, like an urbanite.
Yeah, it's just very cute. And then I got this T-shirt too with the little frog adventurer guy. I just love this T-shirt. It's so
That's
cute.
so cute. And it's got
One
the
of my
map,
D&D characters
and it's got
is-
your health, and it's got
Yeah.
your potions.
I love it. One of my
That's a
characters
cute
is
shirt.
named Frog, so I had to buy it. I just think it's super cute. And all their stuff looks like that. They have a ton of over the garden wall stuff that you would really like, Andrew, so definitely I will send you the link or check it out in the show notes. They're always there. And then I got just a couple pins from a random shop that we went into that was selling some pins, and I just thought these
Hey.
were really cool. I
We know who did that.
Yeah. Just random
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, we
but
do.
so that was my kind of con haul. We had a really nice time. The meetup was really
Hey,
fun. That
you don't
con
have
is
con crud.
huge. I don't. I got really lucky. Only one of us
Wow.
got sick. We weren't there. Like I wasn't there the whole weekend like I normally do. We just went for Saturday and wandered around. One day didn't feel like enough time for this convention. It's a really, really big one. We got mostly through the artist alley and like a little less than halfway through the exhibitor floor, I think. It was just so big. And like we went and did the meetup like at 5:00 and then left afterwards. But I think we could have stayed there much longer because like there's just so much to see and like tons of panels. It was very crowded too. So it wasn't like you could get around quickly and just like, speed run it if you wanted to or something. But
This
it was
was
a
in
great
Seattle?
convention. Yeah, in Seattle.
So I thought you were going to see D20 live because they were.
Oh,
in
I
Seattle.
wish. No,
They
they are.
were
I
in
think later this year, one of their live
Oh,
shows.
see,
Yeah.
I was merging because I saw that they're on their
Oh.
tour list is Seattle, and I knew you said something about Dimension 20. I'm like, oh, she's going to see them
I
live,
have-
and that's going to be.
I have seriously considered getting tickets for. I really want to go to the one in Las Vegas because it's Starstruck Odyssey, and they're doing like Las Vegas themed. I think
Yes.
is so fun.
Let's
I really
do it,
wanna
Lauren.
Go.
Let's go.
Okay,
When is it?
Okay, let's go.
When is it?
It's November.
That's my birthday. Perfect. Let's do
Let's
it.
go. Going to Vegas, baby. The
I'll
ball
have
is
to-
rolling
I'll
up.
have to go to Vegas with a baby if it's in November, but that's fine. Like I've heard that
Yeah.
it's more family friendly now. So
I think
we're
we'll
good.
just act out the hangover, and it'll be great.
Don't they lose the baby? Oh no, they don't lose the baby. They
No,
find
they lose
a
their
random
friend, but they
baby.
have a baby
Yeah,
with
they just have a baby.
I was just thinking like baby in Las Vegas, and that's where my brain went was the hangover.
We could do a
but yeah,
meetup.
other than that, I have watched a lot of TV. There's so much stuff going on. I could definitely talk about the Traitors finale. That was amazing. So good. Like
It was
we might have to do a special episode to talk about how good the finale was. And I loved the reunion that they did, like a full Andy Cohen
let's
Bravo
wait to
reunion.
talk about it because I haven't seen the reunion yet. And
Okay.
I would happily talk because Patrick, you and I haven't even talked about the finale.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
even in our group chat, somehow Traitors finale managed to not get mentioned at all. And I realized
I will
didn't
make
know
a
it did.
note for next week to save time for the Traitors finale, and we
Okay.
will do this because it will be
That's
awesome.
fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Although we'll only be talking about Severance, but that's fine.
Oh yeah, we do need. Maybe we'll have a finale party, and we can talk about the Severance
That's
finale,
actually-
the White Lotus finale. I was gonna just talk about the Invincible season 3 finale. There's a
Let's
lot
do
of
that.
finales happening.
Yeah, let's
Yellow
do
Jackets
a-
it soon. Yeah, that would be fun.
A finale. Yeah, a finale.
Definitely want to talk about Severance. But also just like got to throw it out there. Daredevil rebooted while we were like gone in the last 2 weeks. First 3 episodes are out on Disney Plus.
Big miss.
Yeah, I
I'm just
agree.
kidding. I
I'm not.
haven't seen
Oh,
it.
I'm not really digging it as much as I hope to at all. I was
People
gonna
were
say like
so excited about it.
I really was, and I don't think it's like bad. Like I'm still interested, but having Invincible at the same time did no favors because that show is so consistently good and awesome and just kicking ass at like doing superhero stuff that like is different and like is still really good. Like because they're just very like. They just haven't dropped the ball. Like I was listening to a review of this like earlier today and they were like, we're so back. I'm like, dude, it never left the station. We've been here the whole time. Like Invincible's been good since day one. They're like the part of this season I was like starting to lose faith, but by the time like now that I've watched the finale, I will eat every piece of crow that I know that I talk bad about some of this to my friend and I totally disagree with what I said now that I've seen like how they wanted to like wrap it all up and how the story comes together. It's just such a good show. So I know that I've talked about it before. This is the 3rd season, but it's on Amazon. It's a really great show. If you want some superhero stuff, this is always there.
It's like the animated version of The Boys. Cooper talks
It
about
is
it
a
all
lot
the time,
like that, yeah.
And I watched the whole 1st season, and he's been like on me for the last several weeks.
It's great.
Watch the 2nd season so you can watch the 3rd season. And it's Patrick. It's the 2nd TV show to get a perfect 100 Rotten Tomatoes score.
Oh, I did not know that, but I stand by that. It's a great. It earns it. It's really good.
The finale got a perfect 100.
Is that the 1st season?
No.
Finale?
This one. This
one did.
this
Okay,
one.
yeah. I agree with both. I think the 1st season finale is one of the greatest finales, like maybe ever. Doesn't matter if it's an animated show or whatever. It's a really good one. This one is right there with it. It just like they just always kick ass. Like it's really good. I think that a lot of superhero stuff has started to drop the ball, and it's crazy because this was written quite a long time ago. Like the source material for this came out in like the early 2000s, and like some of the stuff that they're talking about has been talked about now that we've seen like 1,000 superhero movies, you know, like, but it had not been talked about when this came out, and they still present it in a way that I think feels more like emotionally resonant than like most Marvel movies have managed to like really make this point about like how superheroes like affect regular people and like a lot of other things of like what it would really be like to have like superpowers and like what the downsides of that are, like it and positives
dynamics.
as well.
Yeah, there's a bunch
Yeah,
of
like I think that it just like really breaks down superheroes in a way that is like really interesting because it's very nitty-gritty. Absolutely great show. So we'll have our finale party and get to talk about all these things. That would be really fun because there's lots of shows on right now. Just so many good shows. So I think I'll pretty much cut it off there. I just wanted to share all the cool things that I did in Seattle. Oh, we also went to the Museum of Pop Culture, which is extremely relevant for this podcast. Really cool. It's awesome. Like they have a lot of like movie
This
props.
is where
and
you
stuff.
saw your Muppets, right?
Yes, I did get to see some Muppets. They have some from the Dark Crystal, and they have one of the a couple one from Sesame Street, and then one of the like Robin, like Kermit's little frog buddy. That's like the smaller version of Kermit. Hopefully,
Tiny Tim.
Like he
yes,
just looks like a small frog.
yes, but I think like his regular character name is Robin.
Is it?
I think
okay.
so, but I might have made that up. But they had all kinds of stuff from like all over pop culture. So like they had a huge music exhibit, like Nirvana and Jimi Hendrix and stuff. Like it's a really amazingly well designed museum. Like it's very beautiful. Like I love their graphics. They change in each section in really cool ways. Really like neat ways to present things and just like very different. And clearly like they didn't like have like all the money in the world, because I've worked in enough museums and events that like I can just kind of like see the seams
You could
sometimes.
tell they were broke.
No, I'm just really impressed because like these things don't get a lot of money, and like they clearly made the most of their budget and did things so cleverly and just really came up with cool ideas that work so well for the theme. And I think it's like easy to get inspired by this stuff. So like they just did like such a good job of like designing this museum, like in overall completely, like the layout, the graphics, the signage, like it's really cool. They have this section like that we went to at the end where they have like horror, fantasy, and sci-fi, and they kind of like bleed into each other. The horror one is like so well designed that like literally within 30 seconds our whole group accidentally got separated, which really made it feel very creepy because like all the lights are off. They have like stuff hanging from the like the ceiling, like dead corpse, like fake corpses and like roots, and like it's super. You go down this like red hallway that's full of like black and white pictures, and then there are these like sculptures just made out of like thousands of Hannibal Lecter masks that look like creepy like centipedes or something that like twist down the stairs, and it's all like lit up in red. It's just really cool, like very simple way to like use something small and make the most out of it. I was very, very impressed with this whole museum.
I believe you, it's creepy. However, the creepiest thing I've ever experienced is the battleship that Andrew and I were on. When we did the like haunted escape room, not the escape room itself, the person running it. Just kidding. She was
that
nice,
would be
but
scary.
it was the completely dark except for like the red lit hallway.
Yes.
Hot. We were being told about all the ghosts that live on the ship.
Yeah.
It was bizarre.
But it wasn't manufactured. Like it was. I mean, it was. It was literally man-made.
Well-
but like the place was so tiny because it was used to be an active battleship, and so we felt like monsters inside of this thing, and there was no airflow. We were in the bowels of this decommissioned aircraft carrier.
No, that would definitely be creepy.
It was very creepy. And then
Yeah,
and we were on our way to do a haunted escape room. Like
Yeah, I would not volunteer for this. I would not be in the situation you're describing. That sounds
It'd been a
too
great
scary.
place to put a museum, though.
it would be.
Mackenzie did go. She hated it.
She
What?
hated it.
Yeah, she didn't hate it. It's hard to say.
Mackenzie?
Yeah. Mackenzie doesn't like, well, let me say this another way. The Hill family doesn't appreciate scary stuff.
I don't like haunted houses, like or like that kind of thing, like at all.
Genuinely, and I'm sure you said that before and I wasn't listening. That I find that to be
That's
very
shocking.
surprising
Yeah,
about
that's shocking to me.
Too scary.
I would expect you, because
Yes.
of the theater, the creative design,
Yes.
I would expect
appreciate
you
all
to
of
be
these things
all
about
over it.
It's too scary for me. I hate being in it. It really
Would
stresses me
you-
out.
Would you help design and decorate a haunted house?
Yeah, totally, and I have.
Would you act in one?
Yeah.
Would you be a
Definitely.
corpse?
Yeah, I don't think I'd be very good at it, but sure.
I would say
I'm
that's
too
probably one of
loud.
the easiest roles you could possibly do.
I just feel like I'm loud.
Well, you would have to not talk. It's all-
Well, I know that.
I'm so excited.
I'm a body. Get it?
I just feel like I would like laugh at people coming in or whatever. Like, can't help it. Just sounds not fun to be a corpse. Also, like I'd rather do something more active, I guess.
What if it was a living corpse?
A zombie? Yeah, I was kind of a zombie for my friend's haunted house that she does, but I just like help people outside, be like, go this way.
Sounds like you were an usher at
Yeah.
your friend's haunted house.
But I was dressed up like a zombie, so at least there's that.
It wasn't like a haunted house scare. It was too real creepy.
It was too.
Well, it's like
Oh,
a
you're
real
talking about the
haunted
ship.
submarine or something that you're talking about, right? Like,
Haunted house, I've never been in one, and I could not bring myself to do one. And then the problem is Andrew tells his stories from going to them, and that turns me off even more from
yeah,
wanting
it's really
to go.
scary.
why do my stories scare you or turn you off even more.
The last one you told was a clown with a knife chased someone out of a building. That's the
yeah.
last story you told about a haunted house.
The last
not a knife.
haunted house that I went to had like an actual guy running around with a chainsaw.
Twas a
Scary.
chainsaw, and
Yeah.
the clown. I was just making my way out, and the one of the women that I was with, when the chainsaw started happening, she grabbed me from behind, like grabbed my shirt and shoved me all the way out of the like the exit door. I'm like, what the heck was that?
Yeah.
I had a very similar reaction when I went to a haunted house that had a chainsaw man. I did not like it. It was scary.
Like you know that they're not gonna cut you up. Like it's,
in theory, I don't know why. It's just
theory.
very scary.
In theory, they're not gonna cut you up.
My brain
Oh, yeah.
doesn't go like when you're actually in it. Like I think I'm just like too imaginative. Like I get too sucked in, and I'm just like, this is really scary.
Are you trying to say I don't have a good imagination?
No, I think
That's
I'm
hurtful,
just
Lauren.
crazy.
That's more hurtful than a chainsaw cutting through my back. I imagine. I don't know.
I'm just explaining why I can't go.
Yeah.
You have a good suspension of disbelief. I get sucked in.
I walk around. I may have said this on the show. I don't know, but I walk around haunted houses like this. You can't see this, but like I put my hands,
Like your hands
I clasp
clasped?
my hands like
Yeah.
this, and I walk like this. And
Why?
at the end of this, one of the people I was with, they were like, I just think that it was. I just think that it was really interesting that you prayed the whole time. I was like, no, I do that so I don't punch the people when they jump out at me.
You're having like
I
just
keep my
stop your
hands-
reflexes.
Yes, to stop my reflexes, because my reflex would be to go like gah and like punch if somebody jumped.
No, that's not
Yes.
really your reflex.
100% is. I almost punched Drew in the face the other day. He
Oh,
jumped
so
on and
you
scared me in my
do
office.
get fairly scared at it. You just like
Yeah,
contain it.
yeah, I can get jump scared for sure.
That's the
Maybe
thing, Lauren.
this,
He
maybe
likes
this
that.
actually just says a lot about what we do when we are scared. Whereas like you're ready to actually like be able to defend yourself, and I'm like, no, I don't go there. I'm leaving.
That's you and Patrick. You and
Like I'm not going into the
dryers.
scary basement. I am not going into the bad part of the woods. Like no, thank you.
I feel like Lauren would stop and try to reason with the person. I'm gone. I have nothing to say.
We played too
why?
much D&D together.
That's
Yeah,
true.
exactly.
If there's an animal involved, Lauren's gonna try to make friends with it. Don't you dare try to hurt that animal.
Jedi, that was me. Anyway,
At Universal, they're not supposed to touch you. This place, they can touch you.
Well,
yeah.
I know there's some places that they're like allowed to like touch your shoulder or whatever.
There's
Like, you
there's,
sign a
there's some
waiver.
of these places where you sign a waiver and they're allowed to like
Mess with
capture you and
Yeah,
basically
take you
torture
away.
you. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we've talked about some of that on the podcast before. But
I have a
that's
great
why.
Yes.
story about
I
that.
would never
but
do that.
I am going to save it for when we do a spooky themed episode.
Yeah.
Because it's too good of a story to burn
Voting
right
season.
now. It's too good of a story to burn right now.
Too
so I'll
scary.
save it.
All right.
Yeah,
Am I
it's
going to
great.
take this? Let's
Yeah, it's all
let
you,
me round
Andrew.
out the bases here. Like I said before we started recording, I've had a little bit of extra free time these past couple weeks, and I read 3 books, but one of them Lauren's going to be talking about, so I'm going to save that.
You're gonna help me.
And I read 2, one called Project Hail Mary. Adam Bien and Julie Bien told me about this book last weekend when I was in Florida with them. Project Hail Mary is a great book. I'm not going to give you a ton of information about either one of these. I'm just giving you like an elevator pitch of
Flash,
these
yeah.
books. Project Hail Mary is a book about basically the potential end of the world, and the sun is losing energy, and as you know, if we don't have the sun, then so many species die off. Ultimately, we end up dying off because the things that fuel our food is the sun. If it helps grow plants and the grains, and the animals feed off of those things. And so eventually, if we don't get the sun, our planet dies. And so they start trying to figure this out. They send up 2 teams, or they have 2 teams that they want to send up. And you find out that maybe Earth isn't the only planet who is suffering from this same issue. And I'll just leave it at that. It's a really, really good story.
hook.
It is a really good story. It's a very quick read because it's so compelling. It's really well written. It's sweet. I like the final page of the book. I like I weeped a little bit. It's just a really sweet ending to a book, and so it's sci-fi, as you could imagine. There's space stuff, and it's fun. It's a really good book. So I would recommend that. It's Andy Weir. It is being adapted into a movie in 2026. Ryan Gosling is going to play the titular character in this.
Do you agree with this casting?
I like Ryan Gosling. Adam and Julie seem to think that it wasn't good casting. They love this book. They seem to think that it's the book is called Project Hail Mary. It's that was for Mackenzie, who asked what the book was titled, in case that was just like a weird.
I was like, I wrote it down earlier, but I was like, I often sometimes forget to say what the thing we're talking about is, so it's not a bad thing to repeat it.
That's yeah. I like Ryan Gosling. I've seen him do things that I've seen his range, and I think he's really good at range. But we'll see. You know, it's one of those things where Adam pitched this book to me so hard, and so it's like it's one of his favorite books, so he's gonna have a lot more opinion about it. Whereas I knew going into it, because he started telling me about the book, and I looked it up, and I saw Ryan Gosling before reading the book.
So you had that in your head.
I could picture him doing it, whereas this was news to him. So anyway,
I love the game of casting when you're reading a book, especially when you know that it's going to be made into a movie. So like, I think it's just fun to be like, oh.
Project Hail Mary, Andy Weir, go read that book. And then less of a fun book and more of just a thoughtful, thought-provoking, meditative work is The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin, Patrick, you know who Rick Rubin is? I feel like you would know. He's a pretty famous music producer in the music industry. He's kind of eccentric. He's got wild. It seems like he hasn't maybe washed or cut his hair since like 1992. He's barefoot a lot of the time. He just seems like a dude who just kind of goes. He's been to Burning Man once or twice for sure. But this book is all about the creative, like the idea of creativity and the way. I don't remember what the byline of the book is. I should have written it down. But it's all about how we as artists, how anybody is an artist, first of all, and he kind of cuts that away. He cuts away the pretentiousness of art in terms of it being like this lofty thing that only certain people can achieve. He cuts that off at the beginning, but then goes on to, in pretty pretentious fashion, explain all of like the etherealness of like all the things that you would expect to hear about art. He talks about meditation. He talks about the focus. He talks about whatever. He talks about the work a lot. Really good. Lots of nuggets. I took lots of notes from that book. Lots of highlights, lots of clips for that book. But if you're an artist, if you do anything in the creative industry at all, even if you don't consider yourself an air quotes artist, but you do something creative, you're creating something at all. It's worth a read. It's one of Barnes and Noble's top books from 2023 or 2024. I don't remember one of those two lists. So it's recently, relatively recently. It's out there. So it's called The Creative Act. I also played Dice Throne, the Marvel version, this weekend. And Patrick, you've played Dice Throne before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lauren, have you played Dice Throne?
No, because I'm literally like, right? Is it thrown like the chair or thrown like toss?
Ooh.
It's the chair.
It might be a double entendre. But yeah, because there definitely is a chair, but like you're trying to gain the throne, but it could be throwing
but
dice.
It's spelled R-O-N-E, so.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Oh.
So when I put this in the show notes.
I liked the Marvel version. I played as Deadpool, and it was a lot of fun, and we played with 4 players, and so when you play as 4 players, it's 2 against 2. And so I played with Lovin, and Lovin played as Wolverine. So we had Wolverine and Deadpool team up against Storm and Miles Morales for the first round. And then they shifted to do Thor and Loki so that they were on theme and we were on theme. Really great game.
That sounds fun.
Pretty well balanced. If you like Dice Throne, you would like this. If you like Marvel, you would like this. And because of the mechanics of Dice Throne, it's just character based, so you can play with Deadpool and one of the original characters from season 1 or season 2. Like, you can play with these
Right.
fantasy characters intermixed with the Marvel characters.
Is this a board game or is it a video game?
It's a card and dice game.
Okay.
There's not a board.
I mean,
Okay.
you have a personal board.
Yes, and so that's
Or
a
like
perfect
character
It is a
card.
it's a physical game, not
It's a
video
physical game.
I wasn't sure.
It's a
yeah.
physical tabletop game.
Mm-hmm.
That's a perfect segue because I talked about box to board a couple weeks ago, right? And the dice tower and stuff that I have right here. Jason is the owner of that company. He plays games with us, and he made a custom modular snap together set that holds your dice board. It
Is
holds
this your
your
dream,
card.
Andrew?
I know, it's genuinely.
Like
Organization and board games?
I'm gonna
you
show
met your
you.
soulmate.
He told us that we can't post about it yet because he's gonna put them up for sale. But I'm gonna show you my photo. I'm not gonna post it, but I'm gonna show you guys my photo. Look at Patrick. You'll appreciate the. Well, I mean, Lauren, you will too. But the all of the components.
Oh, that's
It's got
awesome.
a die and his modular dice tower magnets to the side, and you have a little dice tray where you roll your dice, and then little slots up at the top of the dice area that you can put your chosen dice to sit.
Do you
And
just feel like the most special board gamer in the world that you show up to one of these game nights and someone else brings fully bespoke
Yes,
like organization placemats?
color coordinated.
Oh, even better.
Because there's next to mine is the Wolverine one, and it's all
Oh
yellow.
my gosh. That
That's
thing's
awesome.
massive. I didn't realize how much space those took up. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So
That's cool though.
it was an
Wow.
absolute blast.
What
So Marvel,
an awesome guy.
he is an awesome guy. You want to move back to Texas? He joined the game group just after you
He
left.
took my spot.
Yeah.
If I move back, I'll have to kick him out.
Yeah, that's true. He's almost your height too. He's
His
just
name
a
is
little bit
actually New Patrick.
shorter. Yeah, we call him NJ.
Yeah, I'm just
But that nope. NP. All right. A couple more things. Like I said, I went to Florida last week. The book is
Did you mean to do
called
this?
Project Hail Mary. I answered that of her earlier, Patrick.
way earlier.
Say
And we
it
had a
again.
separate sidetrack problem.
Say it
And I even
wait, hold
said,
on. But before you move on books, I have to know something because we talked about a book last time. Have you found the treasure?
no, I haven't. I haven't
All right,
found the
continue.
treasure yet.
So that'll be our update every week. It'll be me asking you that and you
Yeah.
saying no for the rest of time.
Until we find it. I did get Adam and Julie on. They're gonna buy a copy of it. They're like,
Okay.
We went through the book together. She read through some of the historical stuff.
This feels a little bit like the hey, send me $10 and I'll send you the answer to getting wealth. And then you just get a card back that says, put an ad in the paper asking people to send you $10 to get the secret to wealth. You know, it seems a little bit like the treasure is going to go to the guy that put out the book telling you how to get the treasure.
As long as it doesn't get to the end and he says the treasure has been inside of you the whole time. That's going to be
Open up the box.
We're going to have a problem. I find something and it just says the treasure
It's just
is
a
the
picture
journey.
of all the fabulous things that you saw. Like
It's just another copy of the book. It's just a
it's
loop.
a whole new book. It just keeps going.
Went to Florida, had a terrible time getting there. We wrecked our rental car about 4.5
No.
hours
Oh,
into
no.
the
No.
yes.
No,
wasn't even
no,
out
no.
of
What
wasn't even
happened?
out of
No.
Texas yet.
I mean, that's a long part.
Drove over. All right, hit this. Was almost muffler size, but it was like solid metal in the middle of the road. And I'm sparing you a lot of details, but our car did catch air when we hit it, and then everything just sounded like we were just scraping the entire underneath of our car as we tried to drive away from it. And then our hood started smoking.
Oh my God.
This thing took out 5 or 6 other vehicles. The cops had to send 4 units to clear the interstate and escort people off of the interstate.
Oh my God.
to get them to safety. We were able to kind of manage to get ourselves there. Most people popped their tires. We literally took out the undercarriage of this rented van.
Oh my gosh.
Which this was after 10 o'clock at night. Enterprise, most branches of Enterprise aren't open that late, and so because the closest Enterprise branch that was open was more than 50 miles away, we had to stay in this really shitty roadside motel. Because they had to come tow the car before they could assign us a new car, we had to take all of our stuff and move it into the motel room, which was on the second floor with a pregnant wife and a dog who has anxiety. It was a nightmare. We ended up not getting another vehicle until we didn't leave. I was at the Enterprise, and they were, again, I'm way truncating this. I ended up getting so mad. I told them, I said, listen, here's my deal. I have a pregnant wife. I have a 5-month pregnant wife and a dog with anxiety with all of our stuff in a motel room and they're stranded because there's no way for them to go anywhere. I had to take an Uber to get to the Enterprise. They're stranded, and we only have the room for another 45 minutes, and we have to get out. They didn't have any vehicles because it was spring break. They found a Nissan Versa, which is a subcompact, and I just made it work. I just crammed everything in there, and we made it all the way to Florida in this Nissan Versa.
I'm so glad you guys are okay.
Yeah, we were safe, and everything's fine now, and I knew it would be a story. It's been crazy.
Patrick promoting his own question that he didn't just ask out loud. Did we
get insurance? I did not get the insurance. My insurance has coverage, but then rentals, also my credit card that I booked it with also has rental insurance. So we have to return the car tomorrow because Becca just got back today, and we'll get all that stuff sorted. But it was a wild trip to get down there. When I was there, we did do Disney for a couple days. Great, it was fun. But we also got to spend I got to spend some time with Tim Anderson. And let me tell you, we've talked about Tim on the show before. He used to work for Universal Creative. He then moved to EA Games. He's a concept artist. He's now at another firm that does themed attractions. And he couldn't tell us this at the time, but he did a lot of the concept art for Epic Universe. Like pretty much he told us about this project that he couldn't tell us about 6 years ago, something like that. Like it was wild. It was a long time ago. But he told me when we were hanging out at lunch that he did all of the concept art and creative direction for that. You remember last year when Airbnb, for the release of X-Men 97, did that X-Men mansion in New York?
Oh.
He did all of that.
Yeah.
Like he designed,
that's so cool.
He designed the Sentinel head that's out there. He actually has like a miniature version that he 3D printed in his office. He has one of the props that they ended up not being able to use of like one of the X-Men suits hanging on his wall in his office.
That would be like the most fun job.
It was so fun to listen to him and Adam talk about all the stuff. Adam Bien's company did all the new Wand 2.0 stuff for Epic Universe and Universal Studios. So like just listening to these guys talk back and forth was like what am I doing? Like it was just so fun to listen to them talk. Okay. Lots and tons of other things, but I'm just going to leave it at that for now. It was quite an epic past couple of weeks.
An epic universe.
Yeah, no kidding.
An epic universe, some might say. That's going to be it for our Around the Table. Up next, let's talk about some master categories. The master category section, each episode, when we talk about the dice we rolled on the last episode, we then pick our topics based on those categories. And Patrick, let's get dark.
Yeah, I got to think about this. I'm going to give you high level, but let me tie this in. I had front page. The front page is pretty one note right now, and you can guess that note. However, since we talked last time,
it's an A minor.
There was a some. Okay, let me take a step back and say this in a cohesive, coherent manner,
Okay.
so that way I can actually cut this together for
Hey,
a podcast.
you're doing great, Patrick. Just
Thank you.
Take a beat. You got it.
But since we talked last time, there was a new interview given in this case that has gone on for several years. And that therefore makes it front page. And it just so happens to also tie in to my favorite podcast, certainly outside of this one.
Nice.
But
Nice
that would be the
cover.
last.
Nice
Thank you.
cover.
That'd be the last podcast on the left. So the last podcast on the left, there are podcasts that they look at episodes from like occult, serial killer, conspiracy, aliens, all type of subject matter. And they just have a ton of content. Now, these episodes, so they'll do what they call side stories, which is these more compact stories. And then they'll also do some episodes that'll have like multiple stories cut together in a single episode. But for their main podcast, they'll take on these big tales that we've heard, and they'll break them up into anywhere from 1 to 6 part multi-hour episodes doing a deep dive into these famous events. And most recently, on their most recent kind of like main event, they did a 4-part story for Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, and they refer to it as the Doomsday Murders. And it just so happens, so this is a 4-part series. This has been coming out for, I think a couple months now. And then it just so happens that the week they're releasing the last episode, Lori Daybell gives her first interview since her trial. And she gave this interview to Dateline, which the interview was done by Keith Morrison. And he described this as being unlike any other interview he's ever conducted. So anyway, taking a step back. So last podcast on the left, great podcast. Awesome to listen to when you're on long drives because it's long episodes. The only thing I'll say is, wow, it's incredibly explicit and vulgar. So maybe just be aware of that. But the
podcast
personalities.
or this particular episode? Or just
Oh
in
no,
general?
the podcast in general.
Okay.
But the personalities are great, and the level of the research they do is incredibly deep. It's amazing.
It's a good
what
podcast.
they
I
produce.
don't
Yeah.
listen to every episode because sometimes it's just like not what I'm in the mood for, but it's very good.
But because this is the latest one, and because it has most recently appeared on Dateline in the last week, then I will give you the overview of the Doomsday Murders. So Chad Daybell, author. These people are in the Mormon Church. He's an author and apparently terrible writer, but he primarily writes. He's over time shifted his content towards writing end times material. So imagine like what's the Christian like 1-to-1 for end times books?
In
What was the movie?
the like Christian bookstore thing or
No. What's the
Oh.
book series? Like the end time book
oh
series.
the Left
Left
Behind.
Behind.
Left
Yeah.
Behind. Thank you. So imagine.
Sorry, I got-
Is there a Jewish version of that?
Yeah, Lauren. Is there a Jewish version of that?
No,
Okay.
it stops. But it stops before we get to the rapture.
You could be the first.
It's a pan.
Torah and the Bible are the same until Jesus shows up.
So Chad Daybell just shifted into writing this type of material, and then he ended up finding his niche in these like prepper forums and with these like prepper doomsday podcasters. Okay, so that's one. But otherwise, married for several decades. Decided that Paradise was going to be in Idaho. Convinced his family to move there. Then you have Lori Daybell, or I'm sorry, Lori Vallow, who becomes Lori Vallow Daybell, but you have Lori Vallow, who found this material, grew up in a family and under a father that, by all accounts, not like a bad upbringing, but that believed a lot of this like doomsday extreme kind of rhetoric, and finds the podcast, finds Chad's through the podcast, finds his books, starts consuming them, and ultimately they end up meeting at a conference, and then over time they develop a relationship. She also is on her fourth husband, I think, at this point. And so they decide that, divorce is apparently not acceptable for them. I guess she doesn't want to be divorced a fifth time. Or I should say a previous husband had died, but not all of her husbands. And so divorce is not acceptable. She has 2 kids that she brought from her third marriage. And they decide that ultimately Chad ends up twisting his teaching or expanding on his teaching more and more and more, to the point that their spouses are now what he refers to as zombies, and they have to be killed. That's what has to happen to them. And so they end up killing each other's spouses. She ends up killing her kids. They end up trying to kill her. I think it's one of her podcast host spouses. And it's just this like a series of murders goes on. Yeah. Now, what makes all this?
Lori's niece?
So like I said, it's very dark. But what makes this all incredibly bizarre is that they keep getting away with the murders. Like she kills her husband, and then she just says, "Oh no, I don't want an autopsy," and so they just don't autopsy him and they just bury him, and that's fine. Or I'm sorry, let me take a step back. Her husband had actually complained to her about to the police, saying that she was getting crazy and all this type of stuff. She had her brother kill her husband. I'm sorry, her husband wasn't the one that got strangled. Her brother killed her husband.
Oh my god.
And then they chalked that up to self-defense.
Tammy was strangled. Daybell's
wife gets killed, and just, oh yeah, we don't need to look into that. So she just gets buried, no autopsy. Another husband, just another person's spouse, gets shot at. They miss, but then they decide, oh, it was maybe it was like a paintball gun, and then the cops just write that off as being nothing.
What?
It's just like time and time again, you just see whether it's ineptness or whether it's just this like
trying to get caught or something.
Certain people you believe or don't believe, or whether it's just the way that Lori presents herself. She just keeps getting written off by the police. Ultimately,
she rolls high on charisma.
So she has to think.
Stealth rolls are out of control.
So this goes back to the Dateline interview with the comment that was made. So her approach, and this might sound familiar, but her approach is that she just talks a ton. She comes across as very charismatic, yes.
Yeah.
But she just talks a ton. And the idea is that you get so turned around in what she's saying that then she can just, you don't quite know what you've agreed to, and she walks away, and then you didn't get what you came to get. And that's her whole approach. And so in the interview, that's exactly how she approached the interview with Dateline. They had a 45-minute slate. She just talked nonstop for 45 minutes. They didn't get what they were coming to get, and then it's over. Wow. And for whatever reason, that worked, and it worked, and it worked. And ultimately, it stopped working because with her kids, with her daughter, she told people, went off to school. But the problem is that nobody saw her daughter, and her daughter never came back. Yeah. And the same thing with her son. There was another excuse for her son, off visiting so-and-so, but her son never came back. And so eventually grandparents, friends pushed and pushed and pushed until finally everything unraveled and fell apart. What's crazy about the story is that if they stopped at killing each other's spouses, genuinely, if that was the end of it, then it seems like they would have completely got away with it. And it leaves you wondering, how many people out there? How many people out there just completely get away with it? So
Oh
super.
my gosh.
Gives a really good reason to stay single.
I know. So
Because if I was married, no
anyway,
one would care if I was murdered. I'm just kidding.
I'd care if you were murdered.
super.
No, I was just kidding.
I would look for you probably. So super.
Probably. It was just in both these situations, you're like, the spouse said don't look into it, and nobody did.
And they just don't. So
That's wild.
Anyway, the Doomsday Murders. It's an incredible story. It's
Yeah,
got
this is
all of
insane.
the.
How recently did the murders take place?
So the murders took place back in 2019. Let's see, were they 2019 or 2020?
2019.
Pandemic murders.
Their remains were found in 2020.
Okay.
I pulled up the Wikipedia as you were talking just to follow
I was
along
curious
with the
because
story.
you said there were like podcasts involved, so I'm like, I feel like it has to be somewhat recent,
So you can find a lot of the material. So the murders would have taken place around 2019 is when a lot of it would happen. But then in terms of like finding the bodies and then finding more evidence, etc. There's a lot more to this we won't get into. Her sister was her brother is who they used as their enforcer, so he was the one that was doing a lot
crazy.
of the stuff on her behalf, and it's all of this was tied into Chad's writings, and so Chad would basically just say like, well, hey, God just told me this, and then they would just go, okay, cool, God told you that this guy's a demon now, we'll just go kill him. It's just crazy how like he just kept twisting his writings that way. In the midst of it, if you want a small bit of levity, in the midst of it, he is obviously a terrible writer and attracted, starting this relationship with Lori Vallow. And so he is texting her. Well, as part of the trial, all their text messages get submitted to the record. And so you can read the kind of like he was writing this like poetry for her, and you can go through and read that if you want to, and it wouldn't have worked on me, but you can check it out. You can for sure check it out.
You say
But
that
all
now.
this stuff, because
It's like, but
modern,
he romantically murdered someone for her.
because it's modern, because it's built around someone that writes and podcasts and etc. You can go find all this material. You can find the books. You can find the podcast. You can find the body cam footage from when he was first complaining about his wife. Like that stuff is all still out there, which just
crazy.
adds to the eeriness of it. But on top of that, there are people still from this group, either from these forums, these podcasts, this community, that even though they've now distanced themselves from Lori and Chad, they're still out there promoting these ideas, and they're still out there spreading this information. And it's not like the belief system goes away, even though these people go away.
Yeah.
But check out, again, 4-part series on Last Podcast on the Left. It is a very interesting listen, if not, assuming that you like their presentation of content. But it's factually very, very good. And then if you want to check out our Dateline interview, it just aired last week, so you can see what Lori Vallow is up to now.
You said a thing before you transition. You said a thing about it being modern, and that adds to the eeriness of it. And you said that, and it makes me think, yes, there is something different about talking about murder cases and things that took place like in olden times, in the
80s.
In the 80s, yeah. And there is something different about that.
I think it's the like level of forensic evidence that you're capable of now is so different than like in the 60s when there's like all these like serial killers and stuff. Like that is like feels like two totally different worlds, because like they could just skip town and you probably would get away with it. Like now there are like security cameras everywhere. Like it would be so hard to get away with.
But
like,
I think
you think
my
it would be
point
much
is-
harder.
My
anyway.
point is the opposite of that. I think it's that this happened. They got away with it for over 8 or 9 months in modern times.
Yeah,
That to
that's why
me
it's
is
crazy.
like, oh, maybe I'm giving us too much credit for having learned some things in the last 80 years.
Imagine this scenario, like completely. So, and again, it was the kids. That was why. If you took the kids out of it, they probably would have got away. But imagine this scenario. Imagine the scenario where I call the cops, tell them my wife, because he told him my wife has threatened to kill me.
Yeah.
And they said, well, show us
I
where.
don't feel safe.
She used the word destroy, and they said, well, that's not a direct threat. Destroy could mean financially or something else, so that doesn't count, basically. Okay, so that's on record. And then a couple weeks later, you get killed in your house, right? You get killed in your house. How does that not raise a red flag? Then imagine the other scenario of, I think someone tried to shoot at me. Oh, well, it's just a paintball gun or whatever. So this is like attempted murder thing. Oh, and you call the cops about it. And then a week later, you're just dead of supposed natural causes, even though you just said, I think someone tried to kill me. And yet you still get away with it. That's the thing is like, yes, on one hand, there are all these other, you feel like nothing is unseen. Mm-hmm. But that's still
weird.
not the case. That's still not how this was playing out.
Because at the end of the day, it's their word, right? Like them, like, yeah, if you're murdered by someone who's close to you, you can genuinely, I could understand how, like, let's say you murdered Mackenzie. I don't see you guys all the time. If I see you now and you're like, oh, and I say, hey, where's Mackenzie? Oh, she wasn't feeling great. She had a headache or whatever. Oh, okay. It will be weeks and weeks and weeks before I might see you again.
We work from home. Might be years.
Like, genuinely, like there is a bit where it's like,
watch out,
maybe,
Mackenzie.
Yeah, like if
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
This is on the record. Mackenzie, you're fine.
Well, this should only
We're
be
just
a problem
saying that
for
this
you.
doesn't matter. They're not. Just wait a month and no one will
This
know.
should only be a problem for you if this is a problem for you, Patrick. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I get it. Like, I can get how some people might like, if you say, hey, where's Cooper? And I say, oh, he's with Chandra this week for spring
Most
break.
people will believe you, yeah.
And you just trust that. And fortunately, in this scenario, that's true. But like, how easily could that not be true? Mm-hmm. It is eerie to think about, even in this day and age, where what you were saying, Lauren, would be what my typical mindset would be like, well, you can't get away with anything now. Well, they did until they pushed their luck. Like, they could have gotten away with it.
It's
Like,
interesting
that's
to
crazy.
think that this was in like 2022. So it's like pandemic. You are home a lot and isolated. Like, that's also part of
It's
it.
wild.
Potentially.
But even to like there's no, like, I don't want an autopsy on them.
Yeah.
Now, it does say that
I didn't know I could do that.
Suspicious
Exactly.
much? Like,
They exhumed.
I didn't know you could do that. Yeah,
They
like, just
exhumed
no.
her body, and then after everything came out, they found that she died of asphyxiation. But like,
Yeah, again, not going into all the details, but basically they secretly exhumed her body. Over the course of an 8-hour period, they exhumed the body, looked at it, and then reburied the body because they didn't want to tip Chad or Lori to what was happening. And because Lori didn't, or Chad, whoever, didn't have the body cremated, which was bizarre to me. Like, you got that
like,
far,
seriously.
just cremated. But because Chad didn't have the body cremated, then they were able to see, okay, it has this like marks and stuff, and it looks like they were asphyxiated or it was whatever. But yeah, they secretly exhumed the body to determine that.
the modernness of it adds to the creepiness for sure, and that's kind of what I wanted to like emphasize, that you saying that clicked all these thoughts in my head of like, yeah, why is it? Oh, and this is why.
But anyway,
freaking crazy.
it's a wild story. Andrew,
I might check that out.
Good luck trying to follow
your
that
story. I honestly think there's a pretty good connection, and that is, I got film, and I'm gonna do a double feature, so I'm not gonna give 2 full reviews because I want to be conscious of the time. But one of the movies is Opus. Opus.
I really want to see this.
The second film done by Mark Anthony Green. The other film was a short film. It's pretty well reviewed by the critics. I've not seen it, but this is an A24 film. You talked about cults. They were known as the Doomsday cult and all these things. I'm going to bring you back to the film Midsommar. If you want to catch a vibe, this movie has that vibe. Now, the Opus is about, the stars of this film, I'm going to butcher her name. It's Ayo
Debris.
Yes, yeah, from The Bear. She plays the main
chef.
character. And then and then John Malkovich plays Alfred Moretti. Alfred Moretti is in the context of this film is a rock star, kind of maybe Elton John like level, like he has flocks of fans and people who literally follow him in this cult like scenario. He's not been heard from in a long time, and then he 25 years, and then he all of a sudden releases that a new album is dropping, and he's inviting a handful of influential people to a private listening party that takes place over the course of a weekend out at his mysterious ranch out in the middle of the mountain somewhere, like 4 hours away from anything. And I'm not going to give you all the details of it, but when they get out there, they realize there's a handful of people. They're all from different kinds of press. There's a paparazzi, like a really famous paparazzi person. Murray Bartlett is from, speaking of White Lotus.
White Lotus, yeah.
Yeah, the manager from the first season of White Lotus, Patrick, he plays an editor for like not a gossip, well, yeah, like a gossip column or like a magazine. And Io, is that how you say her name? Mm-hmm. Io is like an up and comer in that magazine. And they play, they go in as from a press angle. Tony Hale is his manager. So you see Tony Hale a couple times in this film. And then there's an influencer that goes out there, and then this other guy who is old friends. He used to be friends with Alfred Moretti. They had a falling out and whatever. So these are the people who are going to do this private listening party. What they find when they get there is that this place is basically a cult, not to him, but to a teaching that he ascribes to. And then he is kind of the head of that sect for this area. And now that's kind of where I'm going to leave it.
That's all I really know about this movie.
That's where I'm going to leave
Good cast,
it because
interesting premise.
I think you need to see it to understand what I'm saying. It would take me an hour to try to explain it in a way that wasn't understandable. If you've seen Midsommar and the beats of how Midsommar goes, that is how the film proceeds. It does have a tremendous amount of religious and political undertones that come throughout it, and there are twists to it. There's things that you don't see. When I saw it start to unfold the way that it was unfolding, I thought, oh, this is going to end just like Midsommar did. It didn't. It had a different ending beat than Midsommar, but the rest of the movie very much feels like that. So if you liked Midsommar, I think you will love this movie. If you hated Midsommar, like I did, I think you can still get some redeeming stuff
Did
about
you get
this
someone
Did you like this movie or no?
strung up as an angel like in Midsommar?
I'm not going to tell you that.
Did you like this movie though, or like?
I liked. So I rated this movie already. I rated this movie a 7.5. I think the end brought it back for me. What they did with the end was smart and very thoughtful. Like, oh man, wow! I can't say what it did to me because I think that gives too much away, especially if you go see the film. But I would say go see this film if you liked Midsommar, you'll love this movie. If you didn't like Midsommar because of like some of the visceral visuals, you might not like this movie.
It's a tough film, yeah. Okay.
It's a tough film. But this one, I think this one has a better ending than Midsommar. It has a more, not hopeful ending, but it has more of a conclusion. Whereas Midsommar felt like it was totally hopeless. To me, at the end of it, I was like, wow, okay, well, that's just bad on top of bad on top of bad, and then it ends bad. Great. This one has a little bit more meat at the end of it. So Opus, go see that. It's in theaters now. And then the other film that I saw came out this weekend as well, and that is The Electric State. And this is a very different film than what I just talked about. This is the new Russo brothers film that was made specifically for Netflix. And this stars Chris Pratt, and it stars Millie Bobby Brown. And there was someone else that I wanted to highlight. Ki Hu Kwan.
I love him.
the voice of Woody Harrelson. There's actually a ton of voice actors in this film. So this film is a post-apocalyptic. Both of these, we talked a lot about post-apocalyptic stuff recently.
This
Maybe
seemed
that's
like
just
it
a sign.
matched with
That's
Mickey
just a sign of the
17 very
times.
much.
Yeah. They both take place in alternate. The movie I just talked about and this movie take place in like historical fiction is where these things would take place.
Mm-hmm.
This one takes place after the rise of robots and animatronics and AI and these things coming on board. So a lot of the characters in this movie are CG robots. Now they're kind of they're animated looking. They're not like real rigid tough. They're not like Titan-esque robots. They're a lot more like mascot-y things. Like for instance, the leader of the robot army is Mr. Peanut from Planters Peanuts. They have a Astrobot type vibe to them.
Yeah.
Oversized, like gloved hands and boots.
They do feel very like cartoony design, like of the robots themselves. Like but like intentionally, like you said, they're kind of meant to look like mascots.
Yeah, and they are mascots. A lot of them are mascots. In the
I've seen a lot of commercials for this because there's like a cameo of RuPaul, and so like every single episode of Drag Race has it.
There's a cameo of RuPaul.
Oh, maybe they just did this for an ad. Like that's really funny because there's an ad.
Maybe she voiced the. They voiced.
No,
does RuPaul go as a she?
RuPaul when they're not in drag is goes by he, and then when they're in drag goes by she.
Okay.
But like it is like RuPaul from the 90s, and it's like it's a video of like RuPaul going through a mall in drag at the time, but they clearly like edited a robot to be walking through with her. You know what I mean? And then it transitions into an ad for Electric State. And so I assume that this was part of the movie. But it's even funnier that's like just a specific ad made for MTV.
Now, if it is, I missed it. I missed it.
I think that's probably it makes more sense that they just made this ad, but I don't know why I didn't catch on.
Well, like
to
I
that.
said, like it's historical fiction, so they put you back in the 90s. Like Bill Clinton is as a character in this movie. And MTV, like all these things, like it's a retelling of historical fiction. So, it's an alternate universe basically, where robots become sentient, and they're not bad. They just start taking people's jobs. And humans don't like that basically. And then there's a revolt and a battle and then whatever. So, movie is good. It's fun. It's entertaining. I think it is more entertaining than it is critically accepted, and I can tell you that because before the movie dropped, it had a critics score on Rotten Tomatoes of 10%. It has risen up to 14% since the release.
There we go, 14.
But the audience score is a 76% on Rotten Tomatoes, which still isn't phenomenal, but it's 5 times better than the
10.
But so it's not going to win any awards from the critics, but it is immensely fun. It's on Netflix, and so they did something that I sent a picture to you. Did I send it to both of you or just to you, Patrick? Did you get a picture, Lauren, that had the Barry Zuckerkorn billboard on it?
No.
I did.
In the middle of a battle, one of the robots gets thrown into or throws something into a billboard, and it knocks the billboard over, and in a second you can see the billboard. I mean, it's literally 1 second, and I saw it and something registered in my brain. I'm like, hang on. And since it was in Netflix, I rewound it and paused it, and sure enough, it was a billboard for Barry Zuckerkorn, which is Henry Winkler's Henry Winkler's character, as he's the lawyer in Arrested Development. And not only was it Barry Zuckerkorn, I thought, oh, maybe that's just a coincidence. But then it says, in quotes, he's very good, which is what the family always says about him.
That's awesome.
And
well,
it has his phone number. It says
yeah.
attorney at law. It has his kind
That's
of
awesome.
catchphrase and then like a website or whatever. I loved the synergy of that. I know that Netflix now owns the rights to Arrested Development. That's super
fun. That's a great Easter egg.
I don't know what the reasoning for that was. Did the Russo brothers have anything to do with Arrested Development? Like, Maybe it's just someone on the creative team was like, "Hey,
I'll
this
Google
was
that.
like I don't know," but it was super fun. So the movie itself, the writing wasn't great. It's pretty you know what's gonna happen to a certain extent. Like there's some pretty standard tropes that all kind of go the way that you think they will. A couple little things that stray from the norm on that. Visually,
they did write several episodes of, or directors of
directed.
several episodes.
they did.
several
Okay,
episodes,
well there
yeah.
you go. That's the connection.
Yeah,
And that's perfect.
that's very fun though. What a great Easter egg.
Yeah, and I felt so fulfilled and satisfied knowing that I found that organically, and I saw it, and it registered
You're like,
quickly,
I got
and
it
I
myself.
rewound it and grabbed a screen grab of it. Like, I'm glad I saw that instead of having to like read about it and go, oh, that's cool. I wish I had seen that.
It's like, do you feel that way a lot with Severance now? Because like I feel like I catch a good amount of things, or at least like I think I'm catching things, and then you read like hear someone else's opinion, you're like, oh, that's honestly fascinating. I did not think of that.
No, because no one else watches Severance over here, so it's like I don't know
Oh,
who am I even
dang.
talking to about it. Yeah.
Well, I also watch a lot of stuff online and all that.
I would say this movie is fun. It's a popcorn movie. There is some heart behind it, but it is a popcorn movie. The visuals are phenomenal. The animation in it is great. The CG in it is great. It is eye candy. You're not going to hurt anybody's feelings by watching it. It's totally fine to watch. But I would say if I were just rating it on story, it'd get like a 5.5 or a 6. But because of the fun of the other stuff and the visuals, I'm going to give it an 8. So that boosted up quite a bit. It's Chris Pratt is basically playing Star-Lord again, basically. And I
like
think
he's stuck in that now.
You'll fall in love with some of the robots. As always, you'll love Ki Hu Kwan. There may or may not be a robot version of him also in the movie. So it's fun. So I would
Good
say watch it. It's on
robot
Netflix. There's nothing. You have nothing to lose. You already have the account. Just set aside 2 hours to watch it sometime in the next couple weeks. I think it's fun. So okay, that's my double feature. Lauren, take us home.
All right, mine's going to be pretty quick for the final round. So I got books and future, and so I picked the book that I'm going to be reading next, knowing strategically that Andrew has already read it and can kind of help me fill in the blanks. But I picked Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I've had this sitting on my shelf for a while because I think at least a dozen people have recommended that I should read this book. I honestly don't know that much about it though. I know that the like general premise is that it like takes place in a dragon riding academy. There are people who are trying to like tame dragons and ride them. I think it's a lot more advanced than like Game of Thrones where they just jump on the back and go. That's kind of the impression that I've got. And then
it's more academic. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I do know that this is like a huge romantasy book like this and A Court of almost said Fae and Flowers. Thorns and Roses were like both very popular around the same time and like are kind of the spark of all the book talk stuff, which is so big that it like Barnes and Nobles are opening to like accommodate everyone reading this many books now, which is great.
Crazy.
So I am excited to read this. It's been, like I said, lots of people have recommended it to me, and I've been promised that it is better than A Court of Thorns and Roses by almost everyone who recommended. I said the wrong thing again.
A Court of Corn.
Court of Thorns and Roses.
And Bruises.
I did not care for that book at all, so I just stopped reading after that. And everyone tells me that it gets better afterwards, but like I've read like a 300-something page book, and I didn't like it, so I don't feel like I should keep reading.
Lauren, I'm not gonna make the same pitch that everybody else makes. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say stick with it. I'm not gonna say stick with it. I will say this. Here's a fancy but. However, book 5 is you don't have to read necessarily. I mean, it'll give you flavor and context, but you don't have to have read the first 4 to read book 5. And I think book 5, if you like Fourth Wing, which I think you will, because you like Game of Thrones, I think you would actually really enjoy the 5th book. It focuses on different characters than Rhysand and Feyre and Tamlin. Like it doesn't focus on that trio. It focuses on different characters. You still hear from them, but book 5 is much more. I'll say the word Valkyrie. A lot of the book is about Valkyrie, and
is that like one person or like it has like that kind of vibe?
No, the Valkyrie as a people group.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
the
Yeah,
type.
yeah.
So like I think that would appeal to you.
Yeah, I get
so
you.
book
Okay.
5, you can jump in on book 5 and have skipped the other ones, and I actually think you'll enjoy book 5 better.
Maybe I'll get through this series,
Yes,
or
that's
like
fine.
at least
Yeah,
read this book, and then we'll see what I
Yeah.
feel like. Because I think there's a good chance that I will like this book. It's like a fantasy book. I like it. There's a good little map in the front. That's always a good sign.
That's all you need.
I've heard it's very like Game of Thrones meets like kind of maybe like a Harry Potter type of thing because of the like magic school type thing. And like that to me sounds pretty fun, but I know it's way more like adult. I know that there's like actual like, yeah, I was like, it's very like all I know about this book really is that like there's dragons and fucking in it.
And maps. I mean,
Yeah.
it literally has everything.
That way you know where they are.
It's
Yeah.
a cartographer, pornographer's
Do
dream.
they write where they fuck on the map? Yeah.
I love the phrase cartographer, pornographer.
They get really into the peaks and valleys.
What's the? Oh my gosh! What's the? I'm gonna pull this up out of here. What's the? The Marauders map. It's a Marauders map, but instead it shows where people are having sex at any given moment.
I mean, technically, the Marauders map would tell you if that's happening.
Yeah, you're right. That's good. But that's all this map shows. It doesn't show anything else.
I'm sure there's a fanfic about this.
It is. There is. People say spicy, and I know that's like technically the term that people use in this genre. I hate using it because it makes me feel like I'm a 23-year-old girl talking about a book. But that is.
You prefer porking.
Yes. In my day, we called it porking. But there is a fair amount less of sex in these books, in these 3 books, than there is in the ACOTAR books.
Dude, they literally
However-
only kissed in the first book. There was nothing.
In ACOTAR?
Yeah, in the
sound
first book, all they do is
upset
kiss.
about this.
And I was
Yeah,
like,
it's okay
this book was sold to me very differently.
Because book 2 is almost all sex. Now,
Well, they had some like promises that were not kept from where I'm
Each
sitting.
book is the next base. So just imagine what book 5 is.
book 5, I didn't even know that those body parts existed.
That's hilarious.
It was no, so it does have spice in it, but the spice in this book series actually does contribute to the storytelling of it because there are components of it in this book that actually move the story forward and are and story beats are built on it, and there's less of them. Now it does get graphic in a few of them, or in a few moments. But in ACOTAR, you could literally skip all of the sex stuff, and it wouldn't affect the story at all. It's just gratuitous. In the Fourth Wing series, it's not gratuitous. It actually
How
is.
long would the story
like Game
be
of
if you
Thrones.
skipped all the sex?
In ACOTAR or in Fourth Wing?
Yeah. ACOTAR.
In ACOTAR, you pretty much would read the footnotes of book 2.
You can read the whole first book and then nothing else.
Book 1, you're pretty good. She's talking about her desires, but nothing really.
Nothing
comes to
happens
fruition.
though. Like,
But
they
book
literally
2, yeah,
kiss,
you're
like,
basically.
twice.
It's basically like the 95% of it's redacted if you're trying to read book 2. Book 5, it's sprinkled in a little bit, but it's mostly battles and training and the things that Fourth Wing is all about.
I can't read, so I didn't know this. But for your
They are
story
making TV shows of both of these things, so you won't have to read either.
So you're in
on
for, you're in for-
Cinemax, great. But
Amazon is doing this one. I looked it up before the Fourth Wing adaptation. I don't know who's doing ACOTAR.
but Andrew, I think you mentioned someone with a tattoo of this, and that helps contextualize that story a bit more.
Yes.
I've also been told by everybody who's read both books that Fourth Wing is, or like this series is way better. Is kind of the consensus that I've heard.
I like it better. It's less. The romance is still there, but it's definitely it feels
Like more part of the story.
It feels more girthy. There's
I
more
will
meat
say-
and bones on it.
I can tell when it's happening because I'll be in a different room and I'll just hear like light giggling coming from the other room.
From Mackenzie,
Yeah,
she
I'll just
giggles through it.
Either
just hear like light giggles.
That's funny. Oh man, I have so many things I want to say, but we're
Yeah.
gonna leave them right
So
where
I
they
haven't read this. I'll have to come back and we can talk about it more after I've read it. But I thought it would be fun to kind of get some information from you, since I know you have read it, and I'm planning on reading this very soon.
I think you will like this. I think you'll like it a fair bit, unless you're only reading it for the sex, in which case you might.
No,
not,
I mean,
but-
I think this is the type of book I like anyway.
Yeah.
Like I like kind of big fantasy stories, so it sounds like something I'm into. So
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a very good chance that I'll like it.
And this book legitimately has. That's funny.
And Mackenzie, that is definitely the name of the episode.
That's a nice callback. That's a really good
was
visual
so good.
callback for anybody who's not watching this. You missed a great joke from Patrick.
Yeah.
Courtesy of Mackenzie, like with the assist
Yeah,
from
Mackenzie and
Mackenzie.
Patrick tag team that joke.
I will say, Lauren, that this book, I said that it was the Fourth Wing series. It's not. The series is actually called the Empyrean series.
Yes.
But I do think you will like it a lot. And yeah, I'm excited to hear what you have to say. Oh, that's what I was going to say. These books have really what's the word I'm looking for? Really effective cliffhangers at the end of them.
Yeah, I've kind of heard that.
Don't end a book at the end of the night, because you're going to want to immediately
wired.
read
Yeah.
the next. Because when I finished book one, I was like, what? And I texted Mackenzie, Mackenzie and Julie right away, and was like, what? And I had to start the second one right away. So
Immediately. Okay.
It has really effective story hooks at the end of each of the books. So you might not like them, but they are very effective. One of them I did not like the end of book 2. I hated the direction that they went
Because
with.
it's such a juicy cliffhanger, or yeah.
Because it's I just didn't want this
like,
thing
"Don't
to
make me
happen
wait."
to this person. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
It was
yeah.
it was like that. So.
yeah, I'm
cool.
excited to check it out. I swear I think this book has been recommended to me more than maybe any other book recently, at least that I can think of.
Well,
and
this
I
will
just
be a
haven't had a
tell
chance to
of,
read it yet.
of if the people in your life know you. It'll be a good time,
Yeah.
right? So
A lot of people are on the line right now.
if a lot of people are telling you love The Art of the Deal, just go ahead and leave those people out of your
Yeah,
conversation.
no one has recommended that one.
Okay, if that's it from you, then let's roll our dice so that we can get on out of this. It's been a long one. This has been a
It
long
has.
episode.
My ears were hurting from my headphones.
Aw, that's nice.
It's nice.
All right.
I got a 9, and then I got
Lovely. 9 will be tech.
a 4. Okay,
I got 4, so that's games. It's
bless you,
1.
Patrick.
Oh, I'll cut all that out. Don't worry. Okay, sorry.
Oh my god.
Don't worry.
I rolled a 12 and a 4.
I really was hoping you'd do the numbers in that old voice. Okay, TV.
All right. Severance coming up.
We're
Yeah.
gonna do a whole Severance finale episode.
I
I did-
genuinely
I
was
love the
thinking,
idea of-
though, I think what you're about to say, I'm not against watching Severance and immediately jumping on and podcasting about it.
I don't think I'm going to be able to do that because I'm supposed to watch it with people at my house. So I would have to be like, goodbye, I'm going to the other room now.
We could wait until they leave to do it. You don't have to
maybe
kick
they
them out
Just
of
at
the house.
midnight, we're going to do this.
Maybe day after.
The next
We're
day.
gonna have a
Yeah,
little
that's what-
waffle party.
That's what I mean. Like the next day, we can talk about. I'll make a
Okay, yeah.
melon. I'll carve my head out of a melon. To
Oh,
celebrate.
sweet. You can come to the party then. Or
you.
I'll carve your head out of a
Wait,
melon
is that
so
an
you can
actual
be at the
invite,
party.
or is this just?
Yeah, you can come. You're always welcome to come. I feel like you guys wouldn't come.
Yeah, she's right.
That's the more likely thing.
Well, now that
you're always
Patrick's not
welcome.
here, I have to find people to hang out with.
Oh, you're always welcome. I'm serious. I've got places for you to sleep. It'll be great.
Okay.
own
I
little
come with a
house now.
pregnant wife and a super anxious dog. Is that?
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Well,
And
like,
I
we'll
have to
keep
stay
them
on the
separate
second
from my cat.
floor, and I
You
have
can
to
do it.
carry all of our worldly belongings up there. That's
Unfortunately, all of my house is on the first floor. So if you want to live in my
Damn.
attic, it's going to be really unfortunate.
okay, that's fine.
You live in the dust bunny.
All
land.
right. Well, that's going to be it for this episode. You can find all the show notes and links over at mof1.network. While you're there, you can see a whole bunch of episodes that we've done over the years. We've been doing this for a decade. So there's something for everybody, I would imagine. We'll be at Creative South in a couple weeks. We'll see you there. More information next week on maybe some actual details next week or next episode. right before we jump onto. We're gonna talk about what we're gonna do. It's gonna be fun. And if you're gonna be there, we're excited to see you.
I'm jealous.
And I'm jealous. Lauren, where do people find you on the internet?
I'm at Not Cool Co. everywhere.
Patrick, you have psoriasis?
Just maybe.
What is psoriasis? It's just a word I picked out of. That's a thing.
It's like a skin
Yeah,
disease, isn't it?
It's a skin condition.
Oh, I thought it was a hair
yeah.
thing.
Causes you to get red and flaky patches of skin. It can,
Oh,
I
so
think it can
so
cause
you-
dandruff, which is
body.
why you're associating it with your hair.
What did you say?
I think it can cause dandruff, which is why you're associating it with hair.
Oh, maybe. I genuinely, I'd only ever heard it, but I never knew what it actually did.
yeah, I mean, I think I might have dermatitis, but I guess it could be a form of psoriasis. I don't know if psoriasis is a
talk
form
about
of
this so much,
psoriasis,
it's making
but
me
I wasn't trying
itchy.
to
Like-
diagnose you. I was trying to make a joke.
Could be. My dad had psoriasis. My brother has psoriasis, so I guess it's possible.
And now the world knows that you also too might have psoriasis.
You know your
Sure.
whole history.
We can talk about it at Creative South in Columbus, Georgia.
I'm
If you
at
have psoriasis,
Andrew-
come tell Patrick.
Exactly. I am at Andrew Sale with 3s instead of E's. You can find us at M of One Podcast everywhere. We've been going on for far too long. We'll talk to you guys next
Yeah.
time. But for now, I'm Andrew.
I'm Lauren.
I'm Patrick.
Peace out.
Adios.
Bye.
Bye.
I was trying to figure out some way to incorporate like psoriasis and psoriah bro.
Lauren's our psoriasis.
Yeah.
And I'm your
Yeah.
psoriah bro.
We can get like shirts. We'll get matching shirts. It'll be great.
Oh gosh, it's like a I'm with stupid, but a joke that only we get.
Yeah, and
super
isn't
inside
funny?
baseball. Exactly. Outside of the context of this very moment, we won't even find it funny later.
This is not at all. Which is
This is
fine.
definitely the shirt you should make special for Creative South this year.
It absolutely is.
Psoriasis
All right.
Yeah.
and Psoriah Bros.
Let's get out of this episode though. Let's go to bed. It's late. I gotta go to bed.
Should we name the episode Psoriah Sisters and Brothers?
No, it's called cartography pornography.
Oh yes.
Oh, that was good too.
Yeah. Yes. That.
Or what is this book called?
Bye, everybody. See ya. Goodbye.
Speaking of, stack it up till it's high as the stars in the skies. Always told to shine bright. You see it in my eyes. Ooh, we found high, I'm on the low. Yeah, ain't no stopping it, so we don't go. There's no slowing down, no, not right now. 'Cause the ways of the things that we do, boy.